Hi, everybody. Welcome to Infinite Horizon. Uh, we are joined once again by our very own Freeman. Welcome back, Freeman.
Hey.
It's good to have you back.
Welcome
Oh, it's
back.
it's good to be back.
Um,
We are all of us are social distancing this week.
hmm
also, I just realized I am not entirely sure that I set up my audio input. So let's find. It says it's working. So hopefully it is not lying to me. Hopefully everybody out there can hear me and not just all of you.
You can just figure out what's going
Yeah, it's
on.
context clues. It's the
Context
context
clues,
clues
yeah.
are important.
Read
Yeah.
read lips.
Chat, let us know if you can hear everyone.
Okay, everybody can.
Okay, we can
John
hear you
says
all as
yeah.
normal. Thank you.
We are heard.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back, I should say, to our little weekly game. Before we get started, we have our usual announcements. Henry.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here in this unusual time with us for Infinite Horizon. Um, I'll just get started. If you are able, there are a lot of good ways to support us. One of them is simply to subscribe right here on Twitch because we have been affiliates for a while now. We also have what we like to call a Patreon because that's what it's called. You can check out our Patreon for
You tell them.
a bunch of stuff. After shows from our previous TTRPG show, Dungeons and Dorm Rooms.
Rooms?
Some exactly some supplemental story stuff for this current thing, Infinite Horizon. Some opportunities to take place in world building for our TTRPG shows. Some of that stuff is available to everybody, not just patrons. So check it out. We have some updates on where we're at with the channel and stuff. A real simple way to toss us a couple buckaroonies is our coffee. So take a look at that. And that's simple, low. What's the word I couldn't remember, Lucas? Low
Low
commitment.
commitment. There you go.
Low commitment
There
way
you
to toss a couple bucks in the pot. We have a YouTube channel where we upload the episodes of Infinite Horizon a couple days after they're live, and there are also character prologues for Infinite Horizon on there. So check that out. You can also enjoy, consume, listen to Infinite Horizon in the oops, that's the wrong
That's not
command in the form of a podcast. There's the word on Anchor and thereby on a bunch of other platforms.
Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. I think we only have 7 right now.
Yeah.
iTunes continues to hate me.
Yep.
When will the vendetta end?
Time will tell.
Versus.
We have a Discord where you can come talk about whatever the heck you want, share your own projects, see our stream times, see what we're talking about. Join us on Discord.
Beautiful.
We also have a basic little merch store right now, which if you just scroll down to the top of the panels, it's there. I ordered a mug, and things being what they are, I have no idea when it'll arrive. So
Yep.
that in mind. But check that stuff out so you can rep Rule of Lore. It's some clothing
Yeah.
or a mug.
Nailed it.
Is
Oh,
that
what were
is
you-
that all of them?
It sounded like a threat, Henry.
You don't know. It's ambiguous. It's intentionally
Ambiguity is
ambiguous.
Real hip.
All right. Well, again, I will say not to put too fine a point on it, but I really do hope that all of you are staying safe and healthy and making the best of a frankly bad situation. So it's kind of what we're all trying to do, and so I hope you're all doing your best with that. And we are here with some quality entertainment to help keep that going. So.
It's kind of cool that like broadcasters and viewers on Twitch are sort of a step ahead of a lot of other people in terms of like keeping in touch in a situation.
Uh-huh.
Like I've been thinking about that. It's really awesome that we like already have a routine of doing this. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep going.
I will say I am very, very impressed with us with how like easily we switched over from doing what we did before to this because like most of it was already done. The only thing that took figuring out was Freeman and I being in the same room, and now we like we did it. We figured it out.
Got it.
Yeah, I thought you guys were just gonna put like a plastic wall with duct tape between you. That probably would have worked too.
You
You
know,
have some plastic wrap.
that's true. There's plenty of that stuff around. Anyway, we're here
But-
to play Infinite Horizon, so let's, without any further ado, let us get into that.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let it go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows. All hail to the heroes. They're gonna save us. Yeah, save us. Yeah, save us today.
And we're back. All right. Switching away from chat for a second. And this is, this is what I should have been doing while the intro was going, which was getting ready for the next bit. Did I do that? No.
Instead, we sat and zoned out for the first.
Hey, Freeman, show
half of it,
everyone.
and then-
Freeman, show everyone your beaker. While Lucas does that.
Here's my beaker.
It's beautiful.
Yes. Full of sulfuric acid, which Freeman
right.
drinks much of.
That's the only thing that keeps me equalized.
Sorry, podcast listeners, you don't get to see it.
Oh.
Yes. For our podcast audience, our audio only audience, Freeman is now drinking out of a beaker.
I had to, but I forgot to take the dust out of it.
Dusty
Little
water.
dusty water.
Yikes! All right.
Who doesn't love a good dust-filled water?
That's my favorite folk singer, Dusty Waters.
Folk singer.
Oh God.
person.
Okay.
Gonna be
Okay.
a night
Okay.
tonight, folks.
We're not doing Infinite Horizon tonight.
Dee-doo-doo-dee-doo-doo-doo.
All right. Well, last time on Infinite Horizon, I should know better than to let you guys riff while I set things up, because then I have a hard time getting back into it.
I can laugh when other people laugh. You can't laugh while you do it, or I'll start laughing and we'll just be disruptive in a loop.
Anyway, so last time on Infinite Horizon, this is not going to work for me, Caitlin. I cannot do this with you right now. Last time on Infinite Horizon, so this is somehow worse. The crew, starting off the day on immediately in the middle of the action, as they've learned they were being pursued off of Sulan by some not only corporate security from Silverbreak, but also some professional mercenaries. They made another pretty, frankly, just barely escape the hangar where they were nearly netted by their pursuit. Olam, during the course of that, displaying some of his powers in protecting Xaiyah and allowing her to make it unharmed back to their ship. Afterwards, Bina, with some of her trademark Bina maneuvers, managed to evade their pursuit, avoiding engaging in ship-to-ship combat, which is frankly probably for the best, given the situation. They escaped into space and then proceeded to try to figure out what to do next, which, frankly, I think I'm going to have to let somebody else take, because John and I were talking about this today, and we straight up cannot remember what you guys decided to do, and John actually saw it more recently than I did, so if somebody else wants to take over from here.
All I remember that we decided was that Xaiyah had a point she needed to be dropped off. We were going to do that and then figure out what comes next. I don't know if we fully decided. Did we? Someone correct me if that is incorrect.
I was trying. I was trying to lead into the contact that has to do with like the ruins of the ancient civilization, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
but
That
I don't
sounds
know.
familiar.
Yeah, I think we did lots of like maybe we could do this. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think all we knew for
We're definitely
sure
dropping Xaiyah. Yeah.
is that we're dropping Xaiyah off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Peach was asleep or something. I don't know.
Or maybe just Olivia was asleep.
Well, hey, no, I think that, yeah, I think we were going to one of Wire's contacts that they gave us, right? Did we just, I don't know if I think Wire was giving us coordinates and that's what we were doing, right?
We had
Yeah.
a couple of options. That's why we don't know for sure. Because I don't think we ever picked which option we were
Yeah.
doing first.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But with that question still sort of up in the air, they made their way to Station 43, where Xaiyah was supposed to. She was wanting to be dropped off. And in the meantime, in the about ensuing 3 days of travel through FTL, there were several conversations that took place between the crew. Injuries to NPCs from reckless flying were tended to.
He's fine.
He is
he's
fine. He is fine. It's just that Caitlin feels super guilty about it, so I feel like I just need to like double
Caitlin
down.
feels more guilty probably than Beta does. Like,
Help the wound.
But Olam, in the process, actually built himself a sort of holographic, like, I don't know. How do you want to describe that, Henry?
This is how I picture it. It's just some addition to my glasses that already have some little sci-fi beeps and whirs on them that basically creates a cloud of static around my head so you can't see my face. That's
Cool.
That's it, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe you can still see through the lenses a little bit and see my eyes. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
actually, sorry, I've made up a name for it. It's called a glasses-mounted facial obfuscation field, or a GMFOF.
I like it.
GMFOF. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah, so there was some tinkering, some conversations, in particular, some conversations about what the crew's lives look like now that they're in a new normal. So, with all of that, I think that's pretty much what happened last time. Like there wasn't a whole lot. We ended with sort of a family dinner gathering around the in the galley, having some conversations and chit chat, and that's pretty much where we left off. So we'll pick up kind of on the last day of your travel, as you're due to arrive in about to the exit point for FTL in about an hour. I just realized I turned down my own audio. That explains why I couldn't hear very well. There we go. Olam, you would at this point just be finishing up your contraption. As you sort of finish and you take your glasses, look at them, set them on your face, and yeah, you activate. They're just sort of for anybody who happens to be watching at this point. Let's put it this way: where are you putting on the finishing touches on this?
My own quarters, probably.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. So then in that case, as you set it up, you glance over towards the mirror in the room as you activate them, and you watch as there's just sort of this almost like a blurring effect that just goes on like around your entire face, rendering your features effectively unrecognizable, as your entire face just has this sort of whole head just sort of has this blurring effect that takes over. Where basically nothing is visible just clearly except for your eyes. The bizarre thing is, because of the way that the effect is, the device is built, it also partially obscures your glasses as well. So basically the only clear feature, you can't even really see the glasses, the only clear feature is your eyes, basically.
Cool.
So...
I want to leave it on and excitedly run out to show it to somebody.
Okay. Yeah, you exit the room just as you see, as you do, like right outside your door with a hand up ready to knock, is Jade, who is just standing there, still sort of like hunched over slightly as he's like clearly favoring a side, but he's getting he's getting ready to knock and he sees you. He's like, "Oh, hi! Whoa, what
Like, huh?
happened
Look
to
at
your?
this.
Oh, is that what you were working on?
Mm-hmm. I
Whoa.
just finished it. I could probably make a bunch more quicker this time. I got it all worked out. If it would be cool if everybody could have one.
Whoa."
Yeah.
He like reaches up and like tries to poke your face and just kind of reaches through it and like pokes right into your cheek.
Yeah. No, it's still my face is still there behind it.
Whoa. that's some pretty good work. I've never been good at that, like
Turn it off.
at that fine mechanical stuff. I'm better at, big engines and things like that. Like circuitry is not really my thing.
It hasn't really been mine either. But I feel like I'm remembering stuff I read a long time ago a lot better than I used to. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, I was just coming.
What do you need? What do you need?
I was just coming to tell you that we're about an hour from drop.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and he just walks back down the hallway.
I turned this thing on and off a few times and start to get my stuff ready.
Okay. Mason, you're sort of sitting currently in the you actually probably would have seen most of this happening as you are still sitting in the in sort of the common space in the middle of the crew quarters. So you would have been sitting just kind of on the couch and glancing over right as this exchange was taking place. You this whole time have been sort of compiling your what information you've gathered over the last couple of days. And as you're just sort of at this point, you've finished writing everything down. Now you're just sort of looking it over. It's a lot easier to do now that the booze reserves on the ship are no longer empty. So.
Okay.
So you glancing over at this point, looking up as Jade walks out of the crew quarters, you glance up to see Olam's face just sort of going back and forth between being blurry and then not blurry, blurry, not blurry, and just.
What is that?
Are you speaking to me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I walk over and I explain a bunch of with a bunch of jargon. I'm like, actually, if you get the positronic oscillators aligned just a couple degrees left of polarity, then it works really well. And so I explain in a bunch of words and also add that I can make more for anybody else who wants them.
I'll just keep my hat.
Well, you could actually do both. The hat, I could set it up to make sure it didn't obscure the top if you're interested in the hat as a statement, we're trying to hide. Anyway, we'll figure it out. You hear that? We're almost there.
Yeah. Should we go up?
Oh, well, we got some time.
Check in. I've been so in my head.
Yeah, I kind of crane and look at you have your physical notebook with stuff scribbled in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, don't mean to intrude, but are you getting somewhere with that?
Yeah, slowly, one step at a time. I snap my book closed and I stand up.
Okay, great.
I stretch my legs.
All right. I'll walk with you if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
I walk alongside him.
In the meantime, in the cockpit, that is where at least Bina and Xaiyah are. Peach, are you there too?
If we're not that far from drop, then yeah, I'd be out there.
Okay, so Xaiyah is currently sitting sort of sideways in her seat like with legs sort of over the arms on one side, just sort of currently playing with her terminal, just sort of messing with it. And you can see just with a quick glance over that she's basically like running calibrations on some of her communications systems as she's sort of going through. As she glances up, you can see that she's fully outfitted, like pistol strapped to one thigh. Then as she's like as she's sitting there, she has just sort of sitting on her stomach, just sort of like an unsheathed combat knife that's just sort of sitting there as she's like looking through stuff. And she like closes down the terminal and slides the knife into her boot as she looks over and says, "So, are you sticking around the station, or are you just pretty much heading off immediately?"
I don't know. I don't think we've really figured out exactly what we're doing next. I think we're going to meet somebody. We're going to meet a guy who is not at this station, right? This is a different coordinates.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then yeah. I mean, if you want us to stick around, did you want us to pick you up on the way back?
Well, you have my frequency.
happening?
I have your frequency. You have mine. If something comes up, then if it works out, then maybe. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure I can find my own way pretty easily.
Okay.
She kind of glances out the forward view screen towards where like you still just see like still star lines going, as she says, "So, I have, I was sort of taking a look around your supplies over the last couple of days, and I've noticed a distinct lack of firepower."
Yeah, we're still learning with the ship and figuring out, where we kind of need to be and end up. We also didn't really get the chance to do all of that on Sulan before we were rudely chased away.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of running, not a lot of shooting, so it hasn't really come up yet.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is about the shooting is it tends to come up mostly when you're not expecting it to. So it might be a good idea to get something.
I fired the lasers on this ship. They're very fun. We were indoors. Was probably not the safest, but it did
whatever
work.
works. Yeah. What I was going to say is that on the station, there is a weapons dealer that I know, who's always given me some pretty fair prices, but
I don't know if we have money. Or did we ever figure that out if we had credits? We don't have any.
Not anymore, because you pretty much used most of what you had to get the stuff that you
Yeah.
have now on the
to
ship.
get the ship running again. Yeah.
And
We wouldn't have access to like any of our old, like, would we have access to our like?
I think we talked about this last time that they'd be
current
able to know
bank
exactly where we were.
accounts? Yeah, that's what I figured.
Didn't we say? Wait, no. What did I think last time? I was like, what if we just like went to an ATM, emptied our accounts, and then fucking booked it off station
So, like,
immediately
we'll take
after?
them to the least pleasant planet and just like yeah.
Drain your account.
Xaiyah shrugs and says, "Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of a problem. You're right. But you're gonna probably need to resupply at some point anyway. So, whenever you get that figured out, here." And she like slides over like just sort of the contact information for her the weapons dealer that she's like.
Xaiyah, you just want to fire big guns off our ship, don't you?
I mean, yeah. That's yes.
It's fun.
Good advice though. Still.
Yeah.
No, we do need ways to defend ourselves if we are going into whatever it is we're going into.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your abilities and stuff, but some of them are more practical than others in combat, and frankly, you're not all that familiar with them yet. So, it's always a good idea to have a backup. If there's one thing that Wire taught me, it's about the importance of contingencies.
Yeah, I think the plan would have been, well, at least I would have suggested we get some sort of backup while we were on Sulan, but yeah, again, didn't end up being a possibility.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, hopefully it'll be a little harder for them to catch up with you this time, so you might have a little bit of breathing room. Not that it will probably do you much good without money, but yeah. You could always rob a bank.
I think there's already a word out for our arrest. I don't think we need to.
Exactly. I mean, what better time, right?
I'm still saying vacate our account, drain your account, wherever we end up, and then go.
Could probably manage that too. Maybe not as thrilling as robbing a bank might be, but frankly, with your rap sheet, real or otherwise, you'll probably still end up with some heat on you if you do it. So who knows? I mean, every bank robber, even bank robbers, have to start somewhere, right?
Well, we're already like interstellar terrorists, so like I think we've got a pretty hefty start.
That's true. You did kind of jump the baby steps on this one.
Even though we didn't do it, we still have the reps. So I don't know if that helps us or hurts us here, but probably is not good overall. Net loss, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, Olam and Mason are walking onto the bridge.
This conversation.
In the middle of us talking about being terrorists and robbing
Yeah.
banks.
Bina probably recognizes that Olam and Mason have arrived on the bridge by that like signature spike of anxiety that Olam radiates as soon as he enters this conversation.
What are you talking about?
There's absolutely nothing I can drain out of my account. So yeah, robbing a bank's not a bad idea.
No, I think it could be a bad idea, actually, right?
Olam, that's where our next stop was.
What, the bank? No.
I'm just.
Okay. Station 43, right? Xaiyah, that's your destination. And for us, is this a quick in and out or what?
I think that's what we were all trying to figure out.
Yeah, as I was suggesting, we kind of arm up a little bit. Not that I don't have enough for all of us, but like we need to defend ourselves. Puns aside.
Okay. I see how this conversation came about. I also do not have much at all that I could withdraw if we wanted to try that way. But that sounds safer than the bank robbery, doesn't it? Or what if they'll take anything in trade? How do you deal with a weapons trader? Is this illegal? Do we have stuff on the ship that we could barter with?
Oh, do you want the illegal one? Because I could give you the contact for that guy too.
Not necessarily.
Maybe we could. Maybe not a favor, but something we could exchange a task in the immediate sense that we could do for someone and trade for.
Yeah, I mean, my guy knows. He's been known to take IOUs in the past, although they haven't really ended well. But
no, I'd rather it be something we do immediate, like run an errand or something.
Who knows? I mean, at the very least, it's worth checking with him to see if maybe he's got something that he needs done. But
You have some unique skills, I think, that we could lend him.
that's very true.
So where is Station 43? Did you say it's like in a relatively uninhabited place?
No, Station 43. I mean, yes, but it's within Ascendancy borders.
Okay, thank you.
It's near a conduit. Am I
Yes,
remembering that correctly?
it is.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Jim. Question: we've never talked about this. Would Bina have like a decent amount of funds specifically from her?
That's up to you. Because it's the kind of thing it's not exactly work that pays super well, but it pays well enough. And if Bina was somebody who was inclined towards saving, she might have a fair amount. But
I mean, we've established she lives humbly and alone and doesn't really do much besides go to work and do that. So I don't know. There's the chance.
In fairness,
we could just drain Bina's account.
Yeah, I mean, like I could see plenty of arguments either way. So Frankly, I think it's up to you in this case whether or not
Alright,
Bina has anything saved up.
We'll shelf that for now. I think one of our best I think our best option maybe would be to offer for errands or task in trade for weapons, perhaps.
Yeah. Um, I know he's done it before. It's really a question of whether or not he's got anything that needs doing, and how much help he needs.
And the nature of the help he needs, I imagine, might not be entirely savory if we're doing an odd job for a weapons dealer, no offense, on a station.
I'll tell you this: you should definitely let somebody else. She looks at Peach and Bina and Mason. You should let somebody else do the talking when you go.
That's wise.
Just let's just say that even though this I guess we'll call him a friend of mine is above board, he's not above taking advantage of the clearly he's not above taking advantage of lack of knowledge. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's lots of different kinds of knowledge. I half jokingly sulk away and look at the control panel.
Oh, I'm just got owned. Oh.
My character sheet has naive as a descriptor, so
Listen, this guy, he's like anybody else. You just got to know how to talk to him, and yeah, if he's got something for you, then he'll probably be willing to make a trade assuming you can deliver. And yeah,
I mean, if he doesn't know who we are, and we're not gonna, we don't want to give away anything about our personal details, but I mean, if we go in there kind of aloof with acting like we do have a reputation and we're there buying things, I mean, maybe he'll give us a good deal. Maybe we'll get a good trade out of it.
I mean, fake it till you make it. If he doesn't know us, and we can just, present to him whoever we would like him to see.
Exactly.
Yeah. You do whatever you need to do. That's usually I just go in there and I pick up a new gun whenever I'm on the station. So I can introduce you, but it's probably better that we aren't seen together. So
yeah, that's okay. We can go shopping alone, hopefully.
All right.
So we should not mention your name?
Oh, you can name drop me if you want. I'm more concerned with us walking around the station together.
Oh yeah, not great idea.
Whew. Well, I'm going to go grab the rest of my stuff and get ready.
Okay.
She slaps the armrest as she stands up and makes her way back out of the cockpit.
So we had a few things that were like things that needed checking on the ship as of last time. Has all of that been dealt with, or should I run a few flight diagnostics before we get there?
You would have had plenty of time to run everything, all the calibrations and diagnostics that you needed to do on the way. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So at this point, we will say that you drop out of FTL, and as you do, you see the conduit right ahead of you. As you have the coordinates already set in, you watch as the familiar sight of energy discharge from the conduit, as suddenly you see the way the conduits activate is always so bizarre, where first it starts out with just sort of like a ring of light around the inside of the conduit, and then suddenly that light just extends outwards infinitely, as just keeps going, almost creating like a tunnel of light, as you pull your ship into alignment with it. You fly towards it, and immediately just that sensation of just a slight jolt and you're suddenly being flung. And this lasts as you are hurtling through this tunnel of light. It lasts for maybe about 5 seconds or so before suddenly you see the end of a tunnel rapidly approaching you, this dark spot in the distance as it just approaches and getting larger and larger and larger, and suddenly you are flung out, and with another jolt, you are flung back into real space. As you look ahead of you, you can see another large station of comparable size to Station 23. It is
Big guy.
Yeah, it is one of the larger stations. Generally speaking, the stations that are closer to the borders, particularly the borders that are close to each other, like the Ascendancy Commonwealth border, those stations tend to be on the larger side, just because there's not many other places to occupy along those borders, and yet it's a heavily trafficked route. So those stations have grown the largest. And so as you're approaching, this one seems to be another city floating in space, basically. You can see, even as you're approaching, just dozens of ships that are sort of in holding pattern around the station. Many of them are huge cargo liners that are waiting for their opportunity to dock. Others are just you can see various passenger ships coming and going from the station, as it is a major hub. You can even see, actually distantly, what appears to be one of the large, just truly enormous carriers that are from Andromeda Yard's shipping. Andromeda Yard's ship manufacturers, that they use to actually physically take vessels that are just right off the line to other places. This is an enormous carrier that is built for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is essentially to be a giant FTL-capable hangar bay. And you can see it just sort of
cool.
off in the distance, about a third the size of the station itself. This is one thing that is very clear to all of you looking at this place is that it is a major populated hub, and that it will not be difficult to lose yourselves here. It's not so much the safety of isolation that it seems Wire was advocating for, but rather the safety of population, where it will just frankly be impossible to pick out any individuals, and anybody who does probably won't care. As you see, just effectively just an armada of ships just sort of arrayed around this place, either coming and going, parked just sort of off, like an off-site docking, or just awaiting docking. You are finding space normally so empty and vast. Now it feels incredibly crowded in this area.
Are there any cool ships?
Oh, yeah.
Really cool ones.
Oh, yes. You can actually see...
Tina gets really distracted looking at them.
Yeah.
No, they all suck.
No,
I mean, they could all just be average run-of-the-mill.
They're all
There's
just
some,
giant...
really cool ones.
They're all just giant three-dimensional rectangles in space. That's all of them. That's it. That's all they are.
This part of the galaxy
Aw.
hasn't finished rendering.
Every time you take a conduit, where you end up takes a second to come into full clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, Bina's seen a lot of ships, so ones that are truly unique to her, or
Yeah, well, one of the things that the most unique vessels, and this is true just about in any context, but the most unique vessels tend to be the pleasure liners of various wealthy individuals, and the thing about them is Bina knows how to look at them and tell which ones are just sort of flashy and pretty on the outside, and which ones have a good guts, and there's quite a few that the unpracticed eye would be drawn to, but to Bina, she just sort of skips them over as cool as they look, and as interesting and unique as they might be, Bina can tell with some of them that they're just the insides aren't worth the sum total of the parts that they used.
The wrapping is prettier than what's going on inside, and she cares about inside.
Oh yeah, yep. But yes, now only this being the probably the second most populous location that you've been since awakening from cryosleep. You make your way in, and as you begin approaching the station, you see that the station begins hailing you.
I know this process, so this is a thing where
you just hear a somewhat tired sounding voice come over the comms, just saying, "Welcome to station 23. Please state your business."
Pit stop, shopping, and then we'll be on our way.
All right. Please transmit your transponder code, and we'll get you started.
I send it their way.
Okay. There's a moment. There's just sort of like this unexpected sort of heart-pounding moment as you're just sort of waiting and waiting.
How good is
and
wire?
Waiting.
This is where we find out.
Yep. And then say, your codes have been accepted. You've been routed to hangar bay 7-3A.
Thank you very much.
The communication cuts out.
We're in.
All right. So.
Hey, take us down.
All right. Following all docking procedures, you sort of go in, and eventually.
I know this process intimately.
Oh yeah.
Forward, backwards, from every angle.
The nice thing is, usually Bina's used to doing this maneuver with like a big clunky cargo vessel. Yeah. This
semi truck in space.
Yeah, it's like the difference between a semi truck and a sports car here. Like you were just like, you just like with a very graceful swooping maneuver, just sort of drop down to the point where like the station's tractor can like pull you in and start like guiding you. The automated guiding, just immediately seamlessly taking place with barely a bump.
She has a moment of like, oh, I could have done that, but then she's like, nope, we're fine.
Yeah. As the ship's engines begin powering down around you, the ship is slowly guided into the hangar bay, and before long has touched down. You watch outside as the field, the containment field on the end of the bay, reconstitutes, and you see that on your sensors, a message pops up saying exterior bay pressure normalized.
Welcome to 43, everybody.
Thanks.
Nice.
Let's go make a deal with a potentially unsavory individual.
Like just another day.
Everybody put on clothes that are nondescript and are not going to get you pointed out, which she unfortunately goes and changes and puts on something that's less colorful.
Do we have like other outfits?
There was like stuff in here from like other people's personal items and other clothing, so I figured we could probably scrap together some clothing out of that.
Yeah. Easy enough to do.
Peach will sadly take off her coat, like sad, very, very, very disappointed in putting on boring clothes.
Yeah.
Are we changing?
If you feel like you're currently very flashy, I would recommend changing. But if you're feeling confident that you are very boring, then you're good to go.
Yeah, we just probably shouldn't be wearing the same clothes we wore on the terrorist newsreel, I think.
Oh well, then I'm good then. That was an old outfit from a different time.
It's a different hat.
Well, I wasn't wearing a hat then. It's before I got into investigating on my home planet. This hat is not strictly regulated by the regulators, so
it's not part of the uniform.
No. It was my way of rebelling, I guess.
A personal touch.
you all make your way down to the hold where Xaiyah is already waiting with like basically just sort of like a small uh like duffel basically that she just takes and just slings over her shoulder as you make your way in. Um, and she says, "All right, well, I guess this is where we say goodbye for now."
Get in contact with us if you need anything. I
Yeah,
can get there pretty quick.
I'll definitely let you know if there's any need for it. Um, yeah, well, I'm pretty bad at this, so just stay alive.
Head on a swivel.
Head on a swivel. As she like activates the ramp and starts walking down, and just at some point at the bottom, kind of gives a quick sort of half glance over her shoulder and then just keeps going.
We all just, wave respectfully, but she's already turned around.
Oh yeah, she's gone.
So we should probably get like Abraham and Jade to stay here, right? Like, tell them to, unless in case of emergency, but like should probably stay. I don't think we want them to come with us on.
Yeah. Keep them out of the line of fire as much as they're willing to be, I think.
I don't think Jade would help us, in a deal with an arms dealer. I don't think he would.
Jade is injured. Jade is not allowed to leave this.
Jade is grounded.
Jade
Jade,
is
sit down.
grounded.
Yep.
No, we just need him to watch over the ship for us.
That's true. I do actually want someone watching out for the ship because it has been seen. What are the chances that Bina is familiar enough with or could get her hands on cloak tech? Because she has some hands-on up close experience with using it, but I don't know what the chances of her being able to implement any of that on this ship are.
Yeah. What?
Or does it exist on the ship? I don't even think I've looked for that specifically.
What Bina has used before with what comes standard with most racers is that they will all invest in as a way of keeping their unique vehicles from being recognized by authorities.
When not on a track, yeah.
When not on a track.
Or a conduit.
They use sort of a more like camouflage that sort of will alter the like appearance. Similar, actually, very similar to the technology that Olam used for his glasses.
Yeah, I guess not cloak camo.
Right.
I guess is more what I'm thinking of.
That kind of tech is, I mean, I think Bina is probably familiar enough with it. Not so much with the programming aspect of it, but at least with the mechanical parts. Could probably build one. It'd be pretty difficult to build one to like obscure the whole ship, but it is possible.
Can at least just like change the shape of like part of it just to make it look a little bit different. Maybe we'll put that on the back burner. I want to put. If we're gonna be putting ourselves in a scary situations, maybe we should be a little bit more.
Yeah.
For a later date.
So, actually, that does bring up an interesting point, though. So here's the thing that Bina would have noticed over the past few days of familiarizing herself with the ships, with ship systems and the ship's engines. Bina would have noticed that Jade was probably mostly correct in his assumptions about the extra like power that you found, and that it might very well be the kind of power required to run an AI core.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are also parts of the engine that look like, as Bina was sort of poking around, they looked like they were entirely separate. And what she found was that there actually is sort of like the engines have sort of been retrofitted to with a soft burn function, which effectively renders that when running in that mode, it burns more fuel, but effectively it renders that ship effectively undetectable and by scanners. at least for a little while.
Nice.
And so yeah, that is a thing that can happen. You wouldn't be able to like jump to FTL with that
Oh,
on,
yeah, yeah.
but and frankly, you wouldn't be able to jump out of it. But like you could switch pretty easily to that mode, and pretty much mask any sort of your ship's energy signatures, basically.
Cool.
Which would basically, effectively, it's a stealth mode.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sick.
Man, that's even more high tech than I was thinking. I was just like, put a mask on it. Put a mask on the ship. It's
Yeah.
gonna visually recognize it.
The
Paint a different name on it.
the interesting
actually-
thing, the interesting thing about that though is that it does raise yet more questions about this ship, because
What is
that
the
is
ship made for?
not a standard thing.
No.
So the ship has a bunch of really cool novel features, but you may have said this before, but is it like really flashy, and does it look very different from other ships on the outside? Would it draw attention from people wherever we go?
No, not as such. I mean, it's
Cool.
it's certainly not a junker by any stretch, but
Right.
it's
But it's the guts that are interesting.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Perfect.
Best
Exactly.
kind of ship.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
Very
mean,
helpful.
it's the kind of ship that would definitely stand out to people who know ships, right? Like it's visually, it's the kind of ship that would stand out to people like Bina, basically. But most people, without really knowing what to look for, it would look like any other ship. Anyway, as you are standing there, having like discussing what you're doing, Jade is clearly disappointed that he's not allowed to come with you, but he just sort of crosses his arms and is like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll just stay here and
Not until you feel better. Plus, I need someone to watch the bridge, and you're the only one who I gave a full tour of it.
yeah, okay.
Hoping that makes him feel a little more special about it.
Yeah.
What if
Avery,
we need a quick getaway, Jade?
oh, well,
I need you to warm everything up for me. You're the only one who knows how to do that.
that's. He kind of glances at Abriel, who says, "I know people, not ships." And he goes, "Okay, yeah, I'll Ooh, that gives me an idea.
Love that. Love to hear it.
Am I allowed to tinker with systems?"
Nothing big. Nothing important.
Oh no, it's small, but
Okay. Yeah, do it.
yeah, it's small, but I mean big in a way, but more about. Yeah, it's small.
If
Kind
Alma
of.
if Alma stops you, you stop. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. I'm excited.
Okay. And he you can see that he's clearly feeling better about this as he
Yeah.
is too excited to even properly see you off. He seems to have forgotten
just,
that you were
bounces
leaving.
around and
Yeah.
leaves.
he just makes his way immediately up towards the bridge. And Abriel just sort of looks past. She says, "Should I be worried about that?"
The ship can take care of herself.
That doesn't really answer my question, but
We'll find out.
great. She just she says, "Oh." She turns back and she hands you a list. She says, "If we're getting stuff,
Yeah. Medical things, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, is on the list? Yeah.
just if you happen to stop by any sort of medical supply outlet and enjoy not being injured and or recovering from injuries quickly."
We will do our best.
All right. And as you all then disembark, she stands kind of watching and closes the ramp behind you raises the ramp as you get off.
So Bina is wearing an oversized I don't know if it would be a shirt or a jacket or something, but it's not made for Orzai. So it's got so only her top two arms are out, and her other two arms she's keeping wrapped around her middle. She's trying to change her silhouette a little bit.
Okay.
So there are, for everyone who would know, Orzai. Not all Orzai have forearms. Some have. I mean, I guess there's probably 3-armed Orzai as well, but 2 and 4 are the common.
Mhm.
common silhouette. So she's trying to make that just a little bit different, just in case.
Yeah.
A lot of Orzai are very similar, like out, like they don't have like hair and stuff, so like there's pretty similar around. So she's just trying to like anything to make it look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Mason,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mason's just gonna wear his same coat, hat, a cigarette kind of hanging out the side of his mouth as he lights it, and I'm gonna pull out my pistol and I'm gonna check to make sure it's a full clip.
Mhm. Yep.
And I put it back and I chamber one and I put it right back into my sleeve. And I just put my hat down a little further over my face and walk with the rest.
All right. So, you disembark the ship, making your way out of the hangar, stepping on into. It's very different than Station 23, Bina. Immediately, you can see the difference in that. First of all, most of Station 23 is built in such a way that it is effectively like any other city. The difference is that, like, walking around in it, you probably wouldn't, unless you looked directly up, you wouldn't know that you were necessarily on a space station. It was built on essentially one plane with like structures built upwards. This station is very different in that as you exit from the hangar, you exit onto a thoroughfare that seems to be a catwalk that rings, as far as you can see, rings the exterior of the station, which as you step out into this cityscape, actually drops down. So you're actually not on any sort of like ground level by any stretch. You are, as far as you can tell, somewhere in the middle of the station, with structures going up and down past your immediate level, and various catwalks going off in different directions, with crowds of people walking on them as if they were streets, and the air filled with various transports, personal, public, commercial, and otherwise, that are just sort of zooming around the city, providing rapid transportation around the place. The city.
Turn on my.
Yeah.
Sorry. I turn on my facial obfuscation ray.
Yeah.
Field.
Sort of, a few people kind of like double take as they go past you, just sort of like looking.
Now I won't stand down.
I know. I was thinking that.
I know. I realized how dumb this was just moments ago, but I'm doing it anyway.
Totally okay.
The city itself continues on as you all kind of make your way towards the rail, at the guardrail, at the edge of the platform. As you look down, you can see as the city continues for what must easily be at least another 30 stories down, just with platforms at various levels, creating almost like contained streetscapes at various levels in this station. At every level, you can see the crisscross of traffic, sort of moving around.
I would like us to navigate this city in twos and not as the four of us, if that is something we can manage without losing each other.
Yeah, like kind of spaced apart a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I was going to suggest the same.
All right. So, what are your pairs?
Oh, I didn't think that far.
We're gonna hurt feelings. We have to put it in a hat.
No, I think we have to. I think we have to split up the humans because humans are less common.
Yeah, I can go. I'll go with Mason. I was gonna say Freeman. I was like, that's not your character's name. It's another name.
They're the same,
name.
almost the same person. What? No.
All right, Peach, Mason, and Olam and Bina.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. Some episode 1 pairings. I like it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, we're back to the basics.
All right. Yeah. It's easy enough to keep track of each other while staying a fair distance apart. Following Xaiyah's directions to her contact through the streets, you get to see what seems to be where Sulon was felt much more like a city, like a place where people live. Even though it's very clear that people do live on this station, it doesn't have that same feeling. This place feels more like a commercial center. And it has that same kind of energy about it, with people just sort of back and forth through the streets. You, in your short time on Sulan, experienced a few conversations with locals who were more than happy to greet you and to kind of guide you a little bit. Here, it's full on city mode. Like no eye contact is being made as people pass each other. It's just sort of this bustle, and everybody is just sort of making their way through their own lives, with everybody else effectively incidental, which is actually something that is working in your favor here.
No one gives a shit about each other on this
Yeah.
station.
Yes.
Yeah, Peach is like,
Utopia.
where's that good old like friendly Midwestern attitude?
Oh, yeah.
Not Midwestern. I don't know what the equivalent would be in this universe.
Yeah, you left that behind on Sulan.
Along with our unfinished street food.
Just definitely like watching how Mason like walks and like remains unsuspicious and like studying him for what to do, because like he's probably gone through a lot of places like undetected, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Bina has a good grasp to how to navigate station cities, like in a way that won't get her noticed or bothered, because I think we mentioned, maybe it was in the prologue episode, that she just goes, when she's done dealing with people, she is done dealing with people and will want to not be approached in any way. So I feel like she's got
yeah.
this.
Peach would not know how to do that at all.
I'm trying to emulate Bina as much as possible, as I have done before.
That's also
Just
why I
following-
thought these pairings.
Yeah, I'm just I'm job shadowing
Yeah.
today, actually,
Yeah.
I love
Had a
So-
lot of internships.
Yeah, Mason, it's you're no stranger to living in densely populated areas, especially ones like this where people tend not to take notice of each other, and you sort of settle into it with some ease, just sort of moving through the crowds, keeping an eye on people, doing that thing that is so essential to your job, that looking without seeming to look, as you're just sort of wading your way through the crowd. It's probably about, I'd say it takes you, this being your first time on this station, it probably takes you about 20 minutes or so before you're able to actually locate the store that Xaiyah told you about. And as you look at it, you can see this sign out front is basically just, the sign is a target with a pistol and a rifle on the front of it, and at the top it's in huge letters, several of which are not illuminated. You can see it says Lem's Weapons Emporium.
You think there's a chance he'll need like a vehicle repaired? Because that's what I've got to offer here.
Maybe one of us can fix that sign.
Well, I think we should try our best not to let him know that we can't pay, but more that our services would be more valuable to him and that we're doing him a favor.
All I can say, or not say, the only thing I can do is look out for the right kind of, maybe the best kind of price for the weapon. If we're going to get, just kind of eyeball it. I know a little bit about firearms, so.
Does it, Bina or Mason, would you guys know what kind of gun we need to get for the ship that would be like, right? Did we ask Xaiyah? Does Xaiyah have an idea?
The ship is armed. The ship has built-in weapons, right?
Oh, I thought we were also picking up something. Okay, I thought we were also doing like ship upgrades or something, or just for ourselves we were getting firepower.
Mm-hmm. Would the ship need anything? Do I think?
That's sort of up to you.
Yeah.
That would probably be more expensive though.
It definitely would be.
Yeah, I
So,
don't think
yeah.
that's
This is
a-
more like
a
an individual weapon
personal
situation.
defense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep, pretty much. So you make your way inside, and the place is primarily open to the outside. So like as you step inside, the sounds of the city itself are somewhat muted, but not by much. As you step in, um, sort of like when you walk into a store in a mall, right? Like there's you can still hear like the bustle outside, but it's like a little bit quieter. As you step inside, you see a few people inside, sort of browsing what looks like just shelves and shelves of various weapons. Um,
Oh, quick question.
Yeah.
Would Bina know, is like barter and trade something that happens on stations a lot, or are we gonna sound absolutely nuts?
um, Generally speaking, probably not a thing that happens too often. Um, Maybe more likely in the Ascendancy than in the Commonwealth, but also the fact is that Xaiyah has been here before and didn't seem to take your idea for this, for how to deal with this situation as ridiculous. So it seems like
It's a
it seems
maybe.
yeah.
It's a maybe.
it's anybody's guess at this point.
All right, cool. I just wanted to see if that was a thing.
But you step inside and sorry, you immediately glance over and notice a Keldro man who isn't quite as thick of build as Keldro tend to be, especially around the shoulders. In fact, he's a little on the shorter side, and even though he looks primarily Keldro with that same sort of like reddish, like dark reddish brown skin and the sort of like striations that run through it, almost like agate. You just from his build and his like abnormal build and somewhat less angular features, there's at least a small chance that this guy is probably at least a small percentage of human in him as well. You can see he's got kind of these sort of this wild gaze that he sort of keeps casting around to everybody who's in the shop, kind of bouncing between everybody in the shop, which at this moment sort of focuses on all of you as he goes from like leaning back, drumming his fingers on the counter to like leaning forward, and he just goes, "Welcome to Lem's. I'm Lem. What can I get you?"
I look at Peach.
Yeah. We're looking for some pretty simple self-defense that's going to kind of keep us all safe. We're going into some dangerous parts soon, and I'm hoping you can recommend something to us.
His sort of wild gaze that's been shifting, as soon as you stop talking, it just sort of focuses on you, Peach, as he just sort of looks you up and down and just says, "Sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, danger. I understand. Yep."
Yeah, we're friends of Xaiyah. Maybe customer of yours.
You see as his entire expression totally changes.
I figured it might.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, okay.
You came highly recommended.
Well, that is good to know. So, I take it she's still alive then?"
Last time we saw her.
Yeah, well, you can take that as a guarantee of sorts of the quality of my wares. Or something. I don't know. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at small arms, heavy ordnance, or
Does he look like is it like only firearms here, or does he have any sorts of other like self-defense?
With a quick glance around, it looks like it's primarily
I can
firearms.
only use light weapons.
But-
so
Like
I don't
a taser.
But you can definitely see like it's a huge variety. Like looks like primarily firearms, but yeah, there are definitely some others as well. Notably, you see some like security grade like stun batons and things like that that are just sort of set off kind of into corner. And,
quad wheeled police batons.
Yeah.
No one. They've been there for like 10 years. No one buys them. Like,
Are are firearms there aren't considered light weapons, are they? They're their own
No.
classification, right?
It depends on the weapon. Like for
Okay,
example,
that's fair.
like Mason has
Oh.
his police pistol, which we're considering is a light weapon. So like,
Okay.
yeah, that just in Cypher the difference between light, medium, and heavy weapons is primarily damage, but they can be any type of weapon pretty much. Yeah. So he says, well, he says, he kind of looks at all of you. He says, you don't. No offense, but you don't really seem like you know what you're doing. And he kind of glances at Mason. He says, maybe this guy. So, first-time buyers, or what's going on here? What is this? It'll just help me set you up with something. It'll help me figure out how to help you figure this out.
I've only ever fired ship's weapons.
Okay. He kind of glances at Olam, notes the like blurred sort of.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of looks at that and goes, "Okay."
can
I'll be like, oh my god,
This guy is like, did they get dared to do this? Like,
Is this a joke?
I'm so sorry.
Get these
I love
fools
this.
out of my shop. I'm so excited.
He
Can I get like what am I getting from him right now?
yeah, I was like gonna use some understanding or something. I don't even.
Yeah.
Just what do I feel?
Bina,
Like,
you're
is it-
feeling a mixture of amusement and
Yep.
and like disbelief.
Yep.
But yeah,
At
he's
the name Xaiyah, was it surprise or like oh
Yes.
no or like
Surprise.
it was just surprise?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, sorry.
Mhm.
Continue.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a read on him.
Well, I'm looking for something specifically that would be good for long range to, disarm, stun, wound, something of that variety.
Sure. Actually, what I was going to suggest is that I could put together like a standard. I call it the mercenary bundle, but yeah, I can put something for a pack together for you, and you can go from there. It's a good way to start if you don't really know what you're doing. Or if you do, but just sort of need
The variety.
the variety. Yes, that is the word that I was going to use. So
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of our stuff was, stolen, left behind. So
right, yeah.
picking up some new wares.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I can get something put together for you, and I mean it'll be ready in about an hour or so.
Personally, all I need is just an extra clip and some rounds for this. That's it.
Oh,
For
he taps the counter, and he kind of, as you set it down, he grabs it and sort of looks and he says, "Not bad. Seen some wear. They, they don't actually make this model anymore." He says, "This is it's a classic piece."
It's very nice.
And he says, "Yeah, I think we've got a few things." He kind of glances over and says, "Yeah, if you just kind of go around that shelf over there, that's where we have that room on that side is where the ammunition is."
I'm sorry, what's exactly in the mercenary kit that you're putting together of together for us? Like, what's the exact items that we'll be receiving?
Well, there's it comes with an assortment. He actually slides over like what appears to be just a holographic. I just had the word in my head and it went away. This is how my brain's been operating all day.
It's okay.
Catalog. That's the word I was looking for. He slides it over and he says, you can see it comes with sort of an assortment of light weapons, a few a little on the slightly heavier side, and then you've got you actually have the option to include or not include some the big guns. So, and it's all up on your choice. You can see on each of these packs the options that you can sort of mix and match on there, and I'll put it together for you and get you set up with basically everything you need, including maintenance supplies.
Is there anything on there that looks like total? Like, is he just trying to make a bunch of money off of us, even though we have no money? Like, is he just adding random stuff in there? You know.
If you want, you can make a roll.
Okay, I will.
Okay, it's gonna be an intellect roll. The difficulty is gonna be 3.
Okay, cool. So.
Can I give her encouragement, because this is something that I am a talent, because it's just kind of, for mine it's just an area effect. Just if I decide to use it, it's not a speaking thing on my end.
Because
Encouragement is you can give someone an asset in something that you are skilled in, and I am skilled in all tasks sensing emotions and dispositions and social interactions, pleasant and otherwise. So I can give an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess I'm not I was like, I have pleasant social interactions, but we're not interacting. I'm just trying to look at the screen.
Right. So like that.
I have sensing dispositions, so that I don't know.
Okay.
If that...
Yeah. So that'll drop the difficulty down 1 from the asset from Bina. So that's...
Okay, and then I know I have a power shift in intellect based. I have intelligence in my notes, but I don't know if that would help. I don't know what was going on when I built this character. I need to revisit that.
We really need to clarify what your power shifts are in. But,
I know. I need to go back over power shifts, but I'm pretty sure it was like intellect based roles. But we can look at that later.
Intellect. We decided it was intellect roles and intellect defense roles are 2 separate things, and I don't think she has intellect defense. I think it's the other one.
I think it was
intellect based roles that aren't information gathering.
No. I'm pretty sure the way that it works is like crafting and knowledge, right?
Okay.
I think
that
we can consult it later. I won't count it for this roll then, because we don't know. So.
Okay.
We're making it up as we go.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
So then it would be knocked down to a difficulty of 2 with the encouragement, and then I'll just that's fine. It's not a big roll. I'll just do it. It's fine.
6 or better.
Yeah. I rolled a 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought I could roll a 6, guys. I guess not.
You could, but you didn't.
You're looking over the catalog and trying to figure out if this guy is trying to gouge you, and as you're looking, you are fully made aware of just how little of this you understand.
I don't even know what the words mean.
Yeah, you're just sort of looking like,
I'm probably nodding, like, yeah, this looks fair.
Yeah.
This looks fair.
And he just sort of goes, okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time to browse, and then we can close the deal.
Sounds good.
Great.
We're gonna go ahead and I just realized that we have not brought this up to him yet. How are we gonna start this conversation, guys?
I had a thought earlier and not lost. Yeah,
I know. I can go over to him myself if everyone wants to kind of browse around.
You just sell us.
That was out of character. I didn't say that in character.
Yeah. If you would like to know that, I can help. If maybe, I don't know. Bina's not actually charismatic. She just understands other people.
Mason and I should probably go over because I feel like he likes Mason. Mason is a regulator. He knows the most about guns. Maybe he would be a good person to bring with.
Hopefully, my regulator thing doesn't come up.
Yeah, yeah. So have we all walked away at this point? Like we're
Yeah,
just kind
yeah.
of like browsing. Okay. I mean, you could just be like, hey, what's your policy on trade and barter? Would that interest you? We have all different skill sets. Maybe we can help you out with something in exchange for these. I mean, we've established that we know someone in common. We're probably at least trustworthy if he knows Xaiyah well enough. Just ask him if he'd be interested in barter or trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, the customer is always right, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if weapon dealers tend to live by that motto, but we'll go over and we'll convince him real good.
Fiona and Olin will look at all of the things guns they've never touched in their lives and probably maybe never will.
Oh boy.
Fiona's never fired a firearm.
Yep.
She's only ever probably minor like ship combat when like if people were trying to like get fucking freighters and then in that bay in that hangar where she fired at to get the warped away.
I mean,
I do not.
the closest thing Bina's probably been to that is there's sort of like there are cutting lasers that are used as like standard tools on vessels, but and those can be if used properly can be weapons for sure.
She's
but
never
like
fired a real handgun. Like that is not in her purview at all.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this.
So
Who
here's
put this baby in a gun store?
Yeah, like Peach probably has never also like fired a gun.
yeah. So okay. So here's how we're just gonna go ahead and say like if we don't have to like go through the actual process of you guys browsing weapons and whatnot and figuring this shit out. You can sort of just tell me like from a sort of like like from a meta standpoint what sorts of defenses do you guys want to get for yourselves? Because here's the thing, it's not just he's not only selling weapons, he primarily sells them, but he also has like defensive stuff as well. So there's like now those are things that are probably not included with this bundle that he is offering you, but
we could probably just like pick out what we wanted and hope it ends up being about the same as the bundle would have been, but who knows. So defense stuff like things that are like hard light shielding or like armor things, like what's just anything that we can think of here.
Pretty much. Yep. Yeah. I as disappointing as I'm sure this is to most of you, I did not spend time coming up with a shop's inventory, so
I think Fiona would be particularly interested in maybe some type of like bracelet bracer thing that can be used as like apparates like a hard light shielding. She is very weak and very small, and she only has 9 mic points, so I think that would interest her. And then if weapon as well, probably something small, light that reminds her of a tool she's used before. Yeah, that would be what Bina would look for.
Absolutely. There's there definitely is like essentially it's like a modified, or not modified, but it's like a version of like what is used as like riot shields basically.
Yeah.
Where it's essentially it's just sort of like a frame, and like you said, it's just like a hard light sort of shield that it will give I think it'll give it'll give 1 armor.
And we can figure out stats later if you would like to not do that right now.
No,
That's
it's
fine.
super easy to do it. It's super easy to figure that stuff out. Thanks, Cypher. Yeah, and as for the weapons, like we'll just go ahead and say that you can find like a light pistol, easy enough to do. The rest of you, Freeman, you said you're good, right? You said you're just
I'm just getting more ammo essentially in an extra clip.
Cool.
I think Peach would just get something. I mean, like I feel like in most short ranges she can use her abilities for attack, so I feel like she would just need something for like long range or like when people can't really like see her or hear her kind of situation. So probably something that's would operate at a long range where she could like stun or I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. You can find like
yeah, that's not super heavy because I also cannot operate heavy weapons. I
Yeah,
think I only
yeah.
have light weapons. So, like, because the only weapon I think Peach has ever used is probably like a sword for like ceremonial like duels or something. Like,
Mhm.
not nothing outside of like she would probably know how to fence. So that's it.
Yeah. You you just sort of like look around. The only like the easily you just like Bina, you can find some like short some like small light armaments. The only thing that sort of resembles anything that Peach has had any sort of training with in this store, as far as you can see, is like the stun batons and yeah. Um, a little shorter than what you're used to working with those, but um, yeah. And is Olam getting anything at all?
Olam gets a little pistol, a light pistol, and an energy weapon if that's available, unless it's all projectile stuff.
Yeah. The energy weapon, as you're looking at it, you can see that it is more expensive than yeah. But hey, on the bright side, you're not paying money for this stuff anyway, probably, maybe.
We'll
Yeah.
find out.
I get it. I hold it tentatively and
Mhm.
sheepishly. I know it might
Yeah.
be too expensive.
We bring up our catalog numbers from the store.
Yeah.
I doubt they have the actual weapons out for people to just touch and hold.
Right.
That's a
No,
good
that's
point.
yeah.
I'm picturing like,
No, like, and
oh
when,
no.
no, like, and as I
Sets
described,
the store on fire.
as
It's
I
IKEA, where you go, you find the number, and like the
yeah, and as I described, like there are like shelves of weaponry, but as you've gone to examine them, as what you've found is that they are all just like clearly holographic projections.
to give you like the weight and feel of
Exactly.
it, but it's not. It's it's
Yeah,
fake.
yeah,
I love
exactly.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so like most of what you're seeing, there's like you stepped inside, and I imagine those of you who are not familiar with these sorts of these sorts of purchases are like, wow, they only have one of everything. I'm so confused. Why do they only have one of everything?
What if people want one each? Like, what if you compare?
Yeah.
that. That's our haul, our IKEA haul.
Okay. Yeah, you go through, and as you've been browsing, Lem has helped a few other people as you've been browsing, and you all kind of come back with your selections as he. Oh God, I just pictured something really cool. So like on the shelves, there's only like one of the item, but as you like pick it up and grab it, it like creates a like a holographic duplicate, and so then you can
Love
take
that.
that up to the yeah.
Yeah.
Neat.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's yep.
Into it.
So you come up to the counters. He looks it all over. He says, "Not bad, not bad." Actually, he kind of points to you, Peaches. Says, actually, I would recommend getting this model. And he says, because this model tends to require a little bit more maintenance, and so
Oh,
if you're not
okay.
used to that kind of thing, it gets a little bit. He says, so yeah, I'll says, it's yeah. You watch as he's like just hits a few buttons on his end, and just like like the projection just sort of shifts to like a slightly altered, a little bit more updated looking model.
Ooh, cool.
Says, all right, so that'll run you about 312 credits.
Great. Well, as I mentioned, we were talking with Xaiyah, who recommended you, and she said that you are kind of open to trading in favors, and we are individuals that have quite a lot of ability that we might be able to lend you to anything that you might need, whether it's repairs for your ship or a little bit more nuanced conversations with folks that you might not want to have, that maybe we might be more comfortable having, or maybe a late payment that someone has that we could follow up on. So some kind of alternative method, because like I said, our stuff was all stolen.
Dang.
Right. Okay. This is gonna be a persuasion roll.
I can roll.
It's gonna be a
I'll roll.
persuasion roll.
I will encouragement social
Yep.
interactions, pleasant or otherwise. That is how I will help you.
Peach has a nice disposition, so pleasant social interactions.
Yeah. So okay. So
Um,
this is gonna an intellect roll with a difficulty of 6.
Okay. So knocked down one from encouragement
Mhm.
from Bina. And then I have pleasant social interaction, so that would he's feeling pleasant towards us.
Yep, that's true.
And then
You're not hostile, I guess, is basically.
yeah. And then I can put some points of effort into it, and I took another level of effort with advancement, so I have 2 levels of effort that I
Nice.
can spend.
Nice.
And knock that down. So now it's only difficulty 2.
Mhm. And so that effort it costs you 4 points, I believe, because
Yeah, so I have an edge of 1 in intellect. So
Right.
instead of 6 points, it would cost me 4 points from my intellect, right?
it's normally this like a 2 effort spend would like if you didn't have an edge, it would cost 5 because basically it's 3 points for the first level and then 2 points for
Okay.
every additional effort after that. So this is
okay.
going to cost you 4 total.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the difficulty then is 2.
Do you have any other social abilities or anything that helps here? Does us name dropping Xaiyah help at all? We have a contact in common, you know, someone who recommended us here.
Yes, it has already helped
Oh, okay, dang.
in that he is taking you seriously
That's fair.
in spite of all the evidence to the contrary.
That's okay.
Oh man, damn it! Something I want to do before we interact with this. I wanted to use understanding because it lowers my difficulty by a step, but I forgot. Okay, that's my own fault.
Oh,
Okay,
you
well,
did.
that's
You said it earlier. You said that you were going to do it. So I'll give it to you if you want it. Yeah.
Okay, because that lowers it by a step. It is an intellect spend. It's a spend of 2, but edge knocks that down to 1, right?
Yeah.
Is that what the ability? Yeah, that's what the ability
And
is.
it's a skill that is just observation, right? Like you're just if you
And you've
observe
had
a
it.
thing for
You
a
would have
while-
definitely had enough time while like browsing the place to like. Yeah. So yes is the answer.
Yeah.
I want to say
Okay.
this. Okay, so you on the walk here, you were watching how Mason looks at people without being observed. Now you get here and do that to him while we're browsing. Do that to Lem. Is the way I think of it. I think it's kind of
basically yeah, and understanding is like I feel like it's just something that she would know how to do instinctually, just because that's how she has to read people.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's
It's a
so now we're at a
difficulty 1.
difficulty 1. Okay, so 2 or better is what we're going for.
3 or better.
You're better.
3 or
3 or better. Okay, but yeah, I tried to make it easier on myself, but oh, that was so close to being a 1. It was a 15.
Okay.
Nice.
He looks at you and goes, "Well, I've never known anybody who runs with Xaiyah to be useless. So well, actually, there is something that you can do for me. As it turns out, I've been expecting a new shipment for about 2 weeks now, and it should have been here 3 days ago, and I haven't heard anything. I can give you the coordinates of where they were the last time I heard from them. Some of my runners, they like to play fast and loose with the traffic lanes, and well, sometimes they take shortcuts, and those shortcuts are, not patrolled as well as the main routes. So, could use a bit of. If you go and you recover the honestly, bring me back any information about what happened to the shipment, and if you bring back the shipment, might even throw in something a little extra, and then we can consider this even.
I think we could handle that nicely.
All right. Well,
Where's the place you were expecting the shipment to here, or were you secondary location?
Yeah, he says I'll give you the coordinates to where I last heard from them. they were just outside the system. So he kind of, you see as he like basically pulls up his terminal and like transfers information over to you, and you watch on yours at Peach as like the coordinates come up. He says, "That's where they were the last time I heard from him. Maybe about a day out. Less if you go full burn, but he says, yeah. So while you're going looking at that, I'll make sure to keep these all safe for you for when you come back."
Great. We really appreciate your flexibility, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I'm just gonna kind of give him a nice little, like a grin and a wink, and then walk away.
Yeah, he just kind of, yeah, probably not.
How does he feel about that, huh?
He's
just did it to like get a reaction, honestly.
Yeah, no, you can feel that like the emotional spike of like, it's sort of a combination confusion and like amusement, where it's the confusion feels much more like, what the fuck just happened, right? Like it's yeah, you get that feeling basically as he just sort of shakes his head as you're walking away from him, and he goes into the back as you can see him through kind of like the window, sort of like looking like he's pulling down boxes from shelves and things.
I follow Peach.
All right.
I've never had to make an agreement with so few cards to put on the table.
Well done.
Well,
Nice.
well, hopefully we'll get our weapons, and then we won't die.
Yeah,
Ideally.
I hope we don't run into, space pirates. That sounds like this is what that might be what this is gonna be, right?
Maybe.
Sure, no one will bother
I hope
us.
not. I don't mean to put bad thoughts in anybody's head, but
I mean, I've had to skirt some before, but I don't think I've ever had any direct interaction with space pirates.
I mean, if pirates are people that are operating outside of the law, I mean, they might not be too anti us at this point. We could make friends with the pirates, maybe.
Think they'll join our cause?
You never know. You never know.
They seem like people who would hate corporations.
People can surprise you.
As
we're walking back to the ship,
Yeah, we're
like
going-
having this conversation.
it's probably not pirates. Could have been just asteroid fields or something, or
just trying to remain optimistic at this point.
You're making your way back towards the ship, and as you do, sort of walking through the streets of the city.
In twos.
Yeah, in twos.
I like to think that Olam is listing like everything that could go wrong as we're going, and Peach as we're going is being like, well, but it could go this way. It's like trying to spin it in a positive
Countering
way.
every negative
Yeah,
thought.
like it's like the anxious the person on each shoulder situation. Like,
Yep. As you're going, Mason, you at the same time that Bina, you feel sort of like from nearby, you feel just sort of this it's sort of like a spike of just sort of aggression and anger.
Do I get it directed at, or is like does
not really?
I don't
You
think
just
that's something that I
you can feel it, and you can kind of pinpoint the direction it's coming from. And as you do, you actually see Mason's head swivel in the same direction. As Mason, you hear a sound that you've heard many times during doing your various jobs. Actually, it's the unmistakable sound of a back alley beatdown. You can hear the sounds of like the scuffling, the low voices, and just the unmistakable sounds of impact. As like the two of you like both looked at the exact same moment and noticed each other looking at the same moment.
Oh no, another instance where Bina and Mason notice something in a crowded place, make eye contact.
is this gonna be a pattern?
Yeah. Looks shared before imminent destruction.
It's perfect because Bina can sense emotions and before everybody else, and Mason knows like is perceptive in this way. So like, as you look around, you look in that direction, you can see just tucked in behind one of the buildings nearby, you could just see the backs of a few people around the corner of a building, and it looks like from what you can see where you're standing right now, it looks like there's a group of people who seem to be like the best way you can explain it is that it looks like there's a group of people who are pretty clearly standing around kicking something on the ground, something you can't quite see, and you can't even really fully see all of the people involved. You can just see the kind of the backs of a few of them around the building.
I'm gonna run over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think are we doing this?
Oh well, yeah.
If Mason takes off, I think Bina immediately follows.
Yeah.
I mean,
These two are just bantering.
yeah, we're just like having a pleasant conversation. We see you take off, and we're like, I guess we're following.
Yeah, you watch.
But I feel like we're following like 20 paces behind.
Yeah, you kind of having this back and forth about what could or could not be awaiting you at these coordinates. Suddenly see movement up ahead as you glance up and see Mason followed quickly by Bina making their way quickly towards an alley nearby. As they go and you start kind of focusing in, you are starting to hear the sounds as well.
Uh-oh. And I start quickly moving over there too.
Yeah, we're kind of going on in after.
So as you rush in towards the sounds of the unmistakable sounds of a physical altercation, that is where we're going to take our break. So
Yep.
Nothing like running into trouble when you're really weak.
Oh yeah, you just spent a lot of intellect, huh?
I'm okay. I still have 10
Fine.
points.
Yeah.
It's not like my highest stat.
Yeah.
all right. Well,
They're just thugs.
we
They're
will
just thugs.
we'll be back from our break very quickly, as we took a while to get here, but we'll be back in about 10 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. See you in a bit.
See you soon.
Hello, everybody. We're back. Also, good night, John. John is going to bed.
Bye,
John.
John.
Good night.
Sleep well.
Good night,
Peach,
John.
Hello.
Peach gives you a good dream.
Hello, Vod John.
Hello, Vajon.
Hello, future
So-
John. All right. Well, when we left off, the crew had just finished making a deal for a currency-less purchase of weapons when they heard they were making their way back to their ship afterwards, hearing a scuffle in a back alley, rushed in immediately to assist and
Assess the situation.
assess the situation. And that's where we find ourselves now as hold on, we need a music change here. We need a music change. Gosh, I think I'm gonna go with this again. Can you hear that? I can't. Nope. Huh. Can you guys hear that at all? That's really weird.
No.
I'm gonna reload that page. There we go. That
There
is
we
Gosh.
that is
Nice.
not the one that I wanted. I clicked on the wrong one. I am sorry.
It's like, oh my.
There's nothing labeled thug music. like thug and alley. Like, oh, that could maybe, yeah.
Well,
Shout out to Tabletop Audio. We love you so much.
yeah. Okay. So, rushing through the crowd, Mason, you just sort of like ducking in between people and like jumping in between, sort of shifting your way, basically just like fucking Assassin's Creeding your way through the crowd, just sort of pushing through people. A few people as you run.
Effects and all.
Yeah, as you run by them, they're just, hey, watch it, and you just keep running past them. as you make your way down the alley, Bina quick just sort of following in your wake with Peach and Mason not too far behind. Or Peach and Olam not far behind. Mason, you come around the corner to see effectively what you expected to see, which is a ring of people. Most of them seem to be primarily Keldro, actually, as they're sitting around kicking somebody who appears to be down. As you're looking in between them, as they start like going back and forth, you start to catch glimpses of the individual on the ground, and as you do, you hear a little bit of what they're saying. You're like, yeah, it's like we don't. It's like you were told we don't serve your kind here. It's like you're not welcome. You just see like the kicking as you look, and in between the kicking, you're looking. You expect to see a person like a person there, but what you actually see is like it looks like mechanical parts. As you're looking, you see an individual of a species that you yourself have probably never seen. At least none that look particular like this one. But you've heard of them, and you are shocked to see a member of a species known as the Voxora. They are a purely synthetic beings, artificial intelligence, and therefore are vastly mistrusted across most civilizations within the galaxy, as is evidenced before you right here.
Immediately upon assessing the situation, sorry guys, Bina just yells, "Hey!" and we'll just like scream at all of them and try to get their attention away from them as person.
Yeah. A few of them just sort of stop and look over, the ones closest to you.
What are you doing?
I'm going up to one. I'm just gonna grab one and throw them
yeah.
away.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have you make a roll. This is gonna be an attack roll.
Yeah.
Can I assist by catching them off guard by a distracting?
No. Because
No? That's
we're
okay.
we're going to be rolling initiative here.
Initiative.
But
Fuck yeah.
but I'm giving Mason this one because you guys sort of surprised them in this instance. So
Cool.
right.
Excellent. Perfect.
Is it a D20?
yes. So the difficulty on this attack is going to be 3.
Okay. And this is a speed. Could I do a speed thing? Spend some speed to. 3's all right.
Yeah. I mean, this would be a speed roll. This would be.
Yeah. So you have power shifts in this, don't you?
Dexterity.
That's speed.
So yeah, actually, I could spend a thing.
No, I mean, I
using
think you just.
It just happens.
You
The
have a
power shift is
right?
it's like a free level of effort, basically, is how it works.
So I got 2 in Dex.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that brings it down to a difficulty 1.
So I'm going to roll though, just because I love
And aren't
rolling.
you, like, you're just sort of using, like, you're just grabbing him?
What is there anything else I could do for
No,
fun?
I'm asking you what you're doing. Like,
I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna kick his knee.
okay,
The back
cool.
of his knee from
So
under him to see
here's
if I
the
can...
thing: are you trained in, by any chance, in unarmed?
I don't think so,
Okay.
unless that's a thing that explorers just get.
I
don't think it is.
Think it is.
I think that's something that...
You can, but I don't think it is something that you necessarily just get.
Oh, that might be something I do sometime.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so it's just a difficulty 1 then. Okay.
I'm gonna roll.
All right, 3 or better.
I got a 14.
Oh, shit. Yeah. So you just quickly reach in and grab the guy as like basically like he starts kind of puffing out his chest like to go like what like to like defiantly like expecting you to just start like accosting him verbally, but instead you just reach up to him over and grab him and just throw him into the side of the alley, just sort of slamming him into the wall.
I love that these guys hear this tiny voice, see this little like angry Orzai, and then like turn around, face like nose to nose with Mason. And
Yeah,
just
Mason.
grabs him.
Mason just like walking up with like a trained wide stance and a lit cigarette hanging out of his mouth, just grabs this fucking guy.
So
How did
good.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Actually,
His like
this-
long coat
caring.
whirling around his legs.
Yeah, you literally you
Sick.
just grab him by the lapels and you just like slam him with your knee and then just rush him into
Out of the way.
into the wall, just like as he slams into it and kind of falls down right onto his ass. At this point, the rest of them just sort of turn to the rest of you as Peach and Olim just are arriving right now into the situation, having seen that. And they start sort of squaring up as a few of them on the other side start stepping over the
How
Voxora.
many are there?
In total, there appears to be 5 of them. So as they start like stepping over the Voxora and moving towards you, you see a few of them just sort of like squaring up, getting ready. And now we're going to roll some initiative.
Yes.
So
Okay.
this is a speed roll. The difficulty is 3.
I don't think I have anything that can help me here, so I'm just gonna roll.
I think I have a power shift and dexterity, so
Oh,
that
that's
should.
right.
Yeah,
I
I have
get
a
to-
power shift. Cool.
Oh, right. So I'm gonna just do that again. Use my dexterity.
15.
Okay.
Bring us down to a 1.
So it's a
18.
six or
Ooh.
better.
Nice.
I got an
18.
Okay.
I got an 8,
All right. And
17.
okay.
which I think is good.
Yeah, so everybody passes initiative here, which means that you guys get to decide who goes first. It's up to you who goes first. So like essentially what you are seeing as like a few of them are stepping over the downed Voxora, who is just sort of like curled up, and they start squaring up. A few of them, you can see 1 or 2 of them have like chains wrapped around their fists, and this is what you see. Who's going first?
Okay, I have something that I have thought to immediately do. I think Bean's just gonna be like get out of here, go! Like, why are you meeting me this person? I would like to use fast talk. You can a creature. Well, just kidding. That has to be isn't hostile. Never mind. I can't do that one. Oop, they're hostile. Then I will use enthrall then to try to grab a creature's attention. As long as you can hold their attention, the creature can take no action other than to defend itself.
Okay.
Even over multiple rounds. So who looks big? Who looks big and dangerous?
Most of these guys are Keldro, and therefore most of them look pretty big. But there is
Okay.
one. You can see that there is one of them, and she's like particularly bulky and just like
Okay.
yeah.
So there's one on the ground already. So there's 4 up right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna target her, and it is a 1 intellect spend, and you wanted these are rolls, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
to beat her thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
So this is going to be a intellect difficulty 3.
Okay. So I've spent 4. I have an edge, so that eats
Right.
that. Does
Right.
that assist in the difficulty at all, or is it just because I'm using the ability? I don't know how
No,
this works.
not unless you're trained in it, which you can be. You can train in powers.
Okay.
You can train in your powers. Like I think
I
Olim
forgot about that.
aren't, or you have power shifts in Onslaught. You're-
Power shit.
right.
Yeah.
but
I
you
do.
can train in some of your powers as well. So that is a
Okay.
thing you can do.
I don't know if either of these will help, but social interactions, pleasant or otherwise, does this assist my power at all? I don't know. This is the other one.
It's
or
not.
otherwise.
It's not really a social interaction.
Social- Yeah.
Like yeah, it's not the pleasant or otherwise that I have an issue with here. It's just
It's
that
just not
it's
the
not a
social
social
interaction.
interaction exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think I have anything that can help with this
Okay.
at all. I just have to roll for it.
Yeah. So
Fight Club.
I'm gonna spend 1. I'm gonna spend to get it down.
Okay.
I'll spend 1 effort.
okay, sounds good.
So
So
it's
it's
2 or
2 or better. Yeah. Or 6. Yeah, 2, 6 or better.
Yeah. 9.
Okay. Nice. So, as you see like she starts like flexing and squaring up. She actually has like what essentially like a crowbar. As she like comes forward and gets ready to swing it, and all of a sudden her arms just go limp at her sides as she just sort of. You watch as this sort of halo of like light just sort of starts circling around her head as she's just sort of like looking dazed at it. Just like basically like her entire head just starts like glowing, and she is just sort of.
That's my turn.
Yep, standing in place. Yep. Okay. Who's next?
I'll go
Okay.
if nobody minds.
I don't mind.
Go for it.
All right, as I approach, I wheel back with one of my hands, hoping it'll do something, and fling a concentrated blast of graviton particles into the chest of the biggest standing one.
Okay.
As an onslaught.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Is this
Ooh, yes.
this is like the physical onslaught?
It is.
All right. So
Yeah.
go ahead
Actually,
and
what we want to see.
go ahead and roll. This would be a difficulty 3.
Okay, my 2 power shifts lower it to 1.
Yes, they do.
So let's
And
get it.
I believe since they work like 3 levels of effort, you can decide whether you're applying those power shifts to the attack or to the damage.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. The way the power shift is worded, it is like if it's for it adds to damage and attack roll.
I'd be willing to let that happen. Yeah, but let's just
we
say
can talk about
we'll look it up later, and we'll just say that for now,
Sure,
yes. That's
because I picked the power. I picked the single attack power shifts rule, which is different from. We'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
But if you'll accept that
Yep.
now, then I will
Sure
do a
thing.
lot of damage if I hit.
Ooh.
A lot of damage.
14,
Yes.
14.
and if it hits, it's 10
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, so
Oh.
first of all, yes, it hits. Secondly, you watch as they're all just sort of squaring up, and Olam just sort of wields back, and you watch as the air in between him and the next like active thug like distorts as all of a sudden that thug is he's blasted off his feet backwards, slammed into the wall, and then just slides down it, and it just slumps, like totally unconscious, out of commission.
For our viewers, I just want to explain. We have talked about this not on camera. We, unless stated otherwise, are always doing non-lethal damage. So,
Yeah.
in case that matters to anyone out there,
Just knock the wind out of him.
So
Be okay.
incapacitating as a baseline.
it's funny. It's funny though. I just want you to be aware that I forgot to account for the armor of the thug, but just so that you know, it doesn't matter. Even with
You
the
guys, in Cypher, if you don't play Cypher 10, is an absurd amount of damage.
that is an absurd amount of damage.
It's all thanks to these power shifts.
Yeah. So essentially,
Thank you, Silverbreak.
essentially, Olam just blasts this guy, hits him right in the chest as he is lifted off of his feet, slammed into the wall and just sort of, it's almost comical how he just sort of flies up, hits, and then goes boom right back down, and just lays still. The others just sort of like look around, and now they're all sort of like looking at you, a little shaken, but it looks like they're still, Bina, you can feel it. They're still feeling the heat of like aggression and combat. They haven't quite been, they were shaken a little bit by what they just saw, but they have not, they're still in for it. So Olin, that was your turn. Who's up next? It's Mason or Peach.
I mean, all I'm gonna do is probably punch this one guy in the face.
I mean, you could go punch that one guy in the face. I mean, I know what I'm gonna do, but you go and punch.
I'm pretty close to him.
Okay. All right, go for it.
We're not like, we're pretty close to each other. I'm like just
Oh yeah,
now.
like you basically just like released him, slammed him into a wall, and he fell on his ass. But yeah, so you're still there.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, since he's on his ass, I'll probably kick him in the face then. Oof. Oh.
Yep. Go ahead and
Fighting dirty.
Yep.
Oof.
Go ahead and roll. That's gonna be a difficulty 3.
Speed, might.
Up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna use.
As we learned in a previous Cypher one shot, with melee attacks, you can determine,
That's right.
you can choose whether you're using
You
speed
have
or
a power
might.
shift in speed, so down 2 already.
I don't know if this applies to
this?
that, because there's
Okay.
there's the one that's for like dexterity and stuff like that, but then there's the one that's for like attacks.
Fair.
So yeah.
I'll use might,
Okay.
and I do have an edge in there, so I'll use a point of effort.
All right. Sounds good. So that brings it down to a difficulty 2.
I'm gonna make a roll.
Okay, go for
for
it.
kicking my opponent in the face.
Okay.
It's not a swift kick; it's a mighty kick. Sounds a
You're
lot worse, actually. Ow.
It does. I got an 11.
Okay, yeah, that
11.
yeah. That
Good kick in the
definitely
face.
hits. So like as he's like basically fell on his ass, he's like starting to get himself up. You just immediately come in and just wham, slam him right, like catch him right across the side of the face, and he just goes down, like sprawling onto the ground, as he like rolls away, and starts like trying to push himself back up. But yeah, that's
Anything? Could I do anything else?
that's an action. So no, that will be your thing.
What would be drawing a weapon? Is that an action?
You know what? You can do that. You can do that easily.
Or at least start commencing the act.
Yeah, it's not an issue at all. You can easily draw. Yeah. Okay.
Drawing.
All right. Peach, you're the only one left.
Okay. What I was going first of all is the what was the name of the AI?
Voxora.
Okay, Voxora. I want to. Is the Voxora still like around the middle? Like,
Yep.
Are
are
they still getting like actively beat up?
No,
like...
not at this point. No, you all seem to have become the target in their minds. As the Voxora, you notice, like sort of is no longer curled up, but has they've sort of like pushed themselves to a sitting position and have begun scooting themselves away from like the combat.
Are they a humanoid shape?
Yes, Voxora tend to be, with variations, but yes, they tend to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
They like kind of out of immediate danger, because if they were like really injured, Peach would probably run over to them. And
It's hard to tell, given that what you're looking at is essentially like you're
not organic.
Yeah, they're not organic, so
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. But for the moment, they seem to have. I'll tell you this much: they do not appear to be the focus of the thugs anymore. So
that's true. Okay. I mean, how many of them are down at this point?
one of them is fully unconscious. The others are there. One of them is like a little injured. One of them is just sort of dazed. So really, right at this point, there's two that are perfectly fine.
Okay. So I am going to kind of. I'm going to try something that I haven't done in combat before,
Okay.
but I did it earlier with Jade, so I want to see if I can do it in like a combat moment. I want to see if I can put one of them to sleep.
Ooh.
Like
Okay.
mid-combat. Like I think I was rereading before I was rereading the Awakened Dreams ability, and the way we kind of talked about how it worked, I think it would make sense in this instance.
Yeah.
And also I looked at my power shifts that I took, and I have a power shift in putting people to sleep power shift. It's in my notes.
Nice.
It's literally in my
Amazing.
typed notes from
Yeah.
when we made this character.
Yeah.
It's one of the only notes on here that makes any coherent sense.
Well, I guess you have that one then. Yeah, it'll be an intellect roll with a difficulty of 3.
Okay, cool. And so I mean, Peach at this point is pretty pissed off at this. Like basically just looking at the state of the creature, and just turns and like kind of gives them this whoever's closest to her like this kind of just dead glare, and then tries to kind of think about all that warm moment with Jade, and kind of like, I don't know, tries to basically lull them to sleep. I don't know how that would work in this moment, but I think it could. So I'm excited. Oh, okay. And 3, you said?
Yep, difficulty is
And your
3.
power shift.
So you have a power
Your
shift,
power
which brings it
so-
down to 2.
Yeah. I'm gonna put some effort into that. So
Okay.
I'm gonna use I'm gonna use 1 level of effort.
Okay.
Because I don't have a ton of intellect, and we're still going around places. So I'm just gonna do 1 level of effort to bring that down.
All right, sounds good. So it's difficulty 1. So 3 or better is what you need.
Yeah. Okay. 12.
12.
Nice.
All right. So as one of the other thugs charges you, like one of the ones that has like the chain wrapped around the fist, like pulling back for just like a massive blow, it's like halfway through the run, he just stops, like falls to the ground, just like collapses and like falls and skids on the ground.
Exactly what I wanted. That
Like-
is exactly exactly what I wanted to happen.
It's literally like you watch as this sort of like burst of like this burst of greenish yellow energy just sort of passes between Peach and this thug, and suddenly the thug is still momentum is asleep, but momentum carries him forward as he just like goes down and just skids across the plating, the metal plating of the ground.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, hilariously, it is now their turn.
Yep.
They're probably like, what the hell is happening?
The one that is still standing is like and is perfectly undamaged, just sort of like looking around, like very confused. And as far as he can tell, Olim is the only one who has like actively done something. So he's gonna like run forward, and you watch as he pulls like a knife basically, and just and like goes for Olim. And so I need you to make a speed defense roll, Olim. The difficulty of 3.
Stabbed. I'm gonna feel real bad.
Yikes. Oh my gosh.
Difficulty 3.
All right, I got this.
Okay.
For sure.
Fine. We're getting Abriel supplies. It's fine.
Easy. Oh gosh.
Uh-oh.
I got a 1.
You can spend XP reroll if you want.
It's up to you.
Nah, let me keep that
Take
1.
it.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
so here's what happens as he
God.
rushes forward. Olim, you're like stumbling back, and like seeing him coming for you. He's just sort of juking back and forth as he's coming towards you, and
fuck,
like
this is real now.
yeah, knife comes in, stabbing across your chest as you go across, like you like try to go out of the way, kind of instinctively bring your hands up, and you feel the slash across your arms, you feel as the knife like grazes across your arms, and you just pull back, and as you do, you take a step back, and as you do, you stumble into the one that Peach just put to sleep, and tripping backwards over him, as you can see as he starts kind of waking up. So he who then immediately being startled awake starts kind of pushing himself up. That is going to be like his entire action though, but because he would like basically just woke up, and yeah, literally only had the presence of mind to get himself up off the ground, but he's awake now, which now the other one that is kind of currently engaged with Mason, having gone sprawling away from the kick, stands up and just immediately comes in, just sort of brings up fists and just starts like just swings at Mason. So Mason, I need you also to make a speed defense roll with a difficulty of 3.
What can I do?
Your dexterity power shift probably covers this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Definitely does.
Your 2 power shifts there, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm still gonna roll in case I get a 1.
Yeah.
Wait, it's actually down to a 1 though.
Yeah,
right?
it's
not a-
so
It's
it's
3
3
or
or better. Yeah.
That's on the floor, so we can't do that. Hold on.
Floor
Sorry,
dice.
guys. I didn't take into account that I have to roll for some reason. So I didn't set up a rolling
So many
section.
parts to this activity.
I didn't set up a rolling station.
Sometimes
Okay,
we
that's-
don't roll, so
That's a 9.
9. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, 9.
Yeah. So, effectively, as he's coming in, just sort of, this guy seems to be like, unlike the others who are just sort of throwing haymakers. This guy seems to be like sort of trained, and you watch as he comes in with like jabs at you, and Mason just. Bina, you're kind of standing right there, and you watch as Mason just seems to flow around the punches as they come. You actually watch as Mason just moves with just this unerring speed, like just sort of out of the way, just sort of almost like blurring in front of you as the punches come.
Sick.
Just sort of, it just seems to flow around them. As he like the thug sort of jumps back and sort of goes back into like a position, sort of glances around at the others, and then just sort of settles back into a ready stance. We're gonna come back around to the top, so you guys, it's up to you how you run order this time.
Mine is real easy. If I don't move and take no other actions, she continues to not be able to move or take other
All
actions.
right.
So I think this because of the way that it works is I can't do anything. I think this is like a really like bizarre looking like still staring contest. They're like maybe like 15 feet away from each other, and like there's all this action happening around them, and Bina's just like totally like there's like vacant looking and like having completely locked eyes with this Caldra woman in the middle of chaos, and that's what's happening right now.
All right, so Bina, you just use your turn to maintain that. So, so who's next? Who's up next?
I'll take it again. So I just tripped over the one who was asleep, who has woken up and stood up.
Yep, basically.
And the one with the knife is. Did I take damage?
Oh shit! Yeah, you did. Sorry, you would have taken. I
Hell
forgot.
yeah, I did.
I got distracted by the GM intrusion. You take 4 points of might damage.
Oh, okay. Shit. All right. So is that one with the knife still bearing down on me though?
Yeah, I mean pretty much. He came in and just sort of like with just a bunch of like.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can, I want to stand up and onslaught him again. Or
Okay.
onslaught him.
Sure. Yeah.
Use onslaught. Yeah. So I like scrabbled to my feet, still moving back, I guess, narratively, like, and stumbled to my feet. And just as I'm like gaining my balance on my 2 feet, I put out 2 hands this time and just like whoosh, just like graviton particles, if that's a thing.
I love it.
I guess it is now.
It is a thing.
All right. So go ahead and roll. This is a difficulty of 3.
All right. And it's power shifted down to 1, baby. Haha, 11.
Okay. So I assume
So
it's
10.
10 damage again.
It's 10 damage again.
So as he's coming down, the way I imagine this is he's like coming down with sort of like an overhand grip. As he comes down with like an overhand stab, it just stops dead as he just sort of like fighting this gravity burst as he just gets flipped, somersaulted over backwards, and slamming upside down into a wall, and then just landing in a crumpled heap on the ground.
And then, like, as soon as I do that, I'm like trying to like stop the bleeding on my forearms, like freaking out about that.
Yep. Yeah. So who is next? As Olam is just sort of literally just tossing these thugs around like rag dolls, basically. Who's up next?
How many of them are left?
It's currently one that is dazed, one that is like has just woken up from being asleep, and the one that Mason is just in like this hand-to-hand slog with.
Okay. Well, sorry, Mason, you can go and continue your fight with the one-on-one punching situation.
No, the thing is, I was going
Yeah.
for my gun.
You were.
So
You
would I
definitely
have
were.
had a chance to grab it, or
Absolutely.
am I now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would hopefully whip it out and shoot him right in the kneecap.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
tight.
Sounds good. All right. So go ahead and roll.
So much for keeping a low profile, folks. This
Sorry.
were in a back alley, I guess.
Wires.
Yep.
Just like just lay low for a bit. Okay. Help where you can, but lay low. Like 24 hours.
Hey, help,
this is-
help where you can.
It's
We
the
listened
50
to part of the instructions.
Yeah, I misheard. I thought she said shoot low.
Yeah. Me too.
Kneecap.
All right. So this is
Two.
yeah. So this is yes. This will be speed roll with a difficulty. The difficulty here, I'm gonna say, is gonna be 4 because you're aiming. It's called shot, basically.
For a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I will my dexterity.
You're also trained in light weapons.
That's right. You're
aren't you?
trained. You're
Yep.
trained in light weapons. So that brings it down 1. So that's 3, and then
And then the 2 power shifts and dexterity.
that's for mostly defense.
Oh.
That's not gonna work with the yeah.
Good point. Still, that's all right.
Mhm.
And then I could I'll spend a level of effort
Okay.
to just 1 to spend some from my speed pool.
Okay. Brings it down to a difficulty 2. This is a 6 or better.
I'll do that.
Okay. Go for it.
19.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh shit. So that's either I think it's
Major
3
effect,
3
right?
extra damage or a minor effect.
Minor effect.
Yeah. So it's up to you whether you want to have the extra damage or a minor effect.
I think the extra. What do you guys think?
If you have something crafty that you want to do that you can think of for a minor effect.
I mean, honestly, it would just be to like incapacitate him so he couldn't move as fast.
Yeah, you could slow an enemy with a minor effect.
Yeah, because essentially taking away, he looks like he's a trained fighter, so
Definitely looks like it.
Capping him in the kneecap is not going to be helpful for him.
Yeah, no, he's not gonna have a good time with that one. Okay, so yeah, as he basically like sits and like squares off, like just getting ready, you just sort of like pull an Indiana Jones, just kneecap. As he just he just goes, he goes down and you to a knee basically as his leg literally buckles under him, and. So
what's the damage on that?
I
don't even know what firearm damage
on a
is.
light weapon. It's 2.
Okay.
So he's still up, but he's like on the ground as he's like and he's just sort of like holding onto his leg, just sort of like clutching onto his leg where he has a newly opened wound, as he's just sort of like looking, like keeping one of his hands up in guard, but the other is clutching his knee, and like as he's attempting to push himself back up amazingly. But yeah. So Peach, it's you.
Yeah, I mean, I just knew what I was gonna do, and then I got so caught up. I was, so okay, I'm gonna kind of turn to the one remaining that's kind of up, and turn and just say to them, aren't you afraid of us yet? And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just enthralling them.
Okay.
So they can't do anything. Like, so they're completely
all right,
stunned.
go ahead and make
just, yeah.
intellect roll
Man.
with difficulty of 3.
So what do I do to reduce that?
You can
I don't
spend, or if you have power shifts in this ability.
Oh, I do have a power shift in enthrall. So that lowers it 1 step, and then I really do not have intellect to burn on this.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna do a difficulty 2 roll.
All right, sounds good. Let's see what you got.
I keep switching dice every time, and I don't know if this will help me or hurt me. Oh, it's a 16.
Okay.
Nice.
So you watch as the thug that just woke up is kind of like standing, looking around, kind of getting his bearings. You see as he is like glancing at Olam's, watch what just happened with the thug going, his fellow thug going flying. Turns to you as you say that. Looks like he's just that close to cutting and running, and then just face just sort of goes slack. It's just kind of like and doesn't move.
How does your enthrall manifest?
Usually it's like talking. Usually she does have to talk to someone, but I think that was more of like a kind of a moment of fear that she just completely instilled in him, and now they're just dazed.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly word based for sure.
Yeah.
I have to come up with a zinger every time.
Yeah.
So, the last man standing. It is his turn. However, I am going to offer Mason a GM intrusion.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So go ahead and gain an
Maybe
XP.
I know the law.
Gain an XP and pick somebody else to give an XP to.
Could I? The person I know this might not really. How about to the next person who would be going in initiative?
Well, you have to pick somebody to give the XP to.
Okay, so it's a guy. All right, Bina.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, as the thug is sort of like down with like one hand at his side, with the other hand up in a guard position, you hear a beeping sound from behind you.
Oh.
As you turn, you see he just like looks up and he's just like, huh. And you look behind you and you see a tiny device on the wall behind you. As it sort of starts like it's a flashing red light, And as you do, you start to turn away from it just as it just whoosh, flashes bright. And Mason, you see your whole world goes white.
Ooh.
As basically in this instance, as he stands up, he is going to take a swing at you now again.
Okay.
So I need you to make a speed defense roll. The difficulty on this one is going to be 2 higher. It's going to be up at 5.
Okay. But using my dexterity power shift will still help, right?
Yes, which brings it down to the 3 that it would normally be.
Right. And then, oh no, I can't use flight of foot because that's for moving mobility, like away from.
You can spend for it if you want.
I think I will.
Okay. So difficulty 2.
Yes.
All right.
I wrote that. Okay.
All right.
Oh, make it a roll.
Go ahead and make a roll.
So it's a 6 or better.
6 or better.
I got a 12.
Okay. So somehow, in spite of all this, Mason, as this is happening, you feel just this sort of like this weird sensation in your eyes, and anybody who is looking would note like this sort of almost like a very lizard-like lid that just sort of goes over your eyes, that seems to just sort of be, it doesn't like it. Your retinas were still just like flash burned for a second there, but but you can sort of, everything else kind of just goes dim around you. Like light level just goes down, so you can almost see, and almost like you're sensing the blow coming. You just sort of quickly duck out of the way as another fist comes directly towards you, and misses by millimeters.
Sick. Man.
I love it.
Goodness.
So, that is his turn, which brings us back to the top of your guys' turn. As he basically is like, he takes that one last shot at Mason and then takes like a limping step back, sort of like a hop step back, still in like a defensive position. But you can see as he's like looking around, he's like, "What the hell are you standing around for?" And he yells to the other 2 who are upright and completely dazed. He kind of hops back on his leg a little bit. Is anybody doing anything at this point?
I maintain.
Okay.
Oh, can we go out of turn order?
No. I mean,
we picked the
I see what you
order.
mean.
yeah,
Got
you guys get to pick the order now. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, my turn. I maintain.
Got it.
Do they look like
Continue.
they're trying to run away at this point, or are they still like?
It definitely
engaging
looks
with
like he's
us?
reassessing the whole situation and seems to be aware that he went from outnumbering you guys to now being outnumbered. But he doesn't look like he's quite dropped the fight, but you don't know. You don't know what he's going to do next, basically.
Mason, you want this or?
Yeah, because I will take this.
Okay.
All right.
What are you doing?
I'm like, are you not done yet? And then another kneecap.
Oh.
Never mind.
Ooh.
You fucker.
All right.
Do it. Do it.
So you're still somewhat
yeah,
blinded.
okay.
So the difficulty of this, so you're aiming a kneecap, you're blinded. The difficulty of this is going to be 6.
That's fair. Okay, I'll is it speed still? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. What can I do?
It would
Spend-
be such a cool shot, though.
It would be a cool shot. Okay.
So you're trained in light weapons, so that brings it down
Mhm.
to 5.
5. So I'll spend some speed. I'm still good on that. I'll spend a level if ever, I mean, right?
Yeah. So that brings it down to 4.
Yeah, 4.
That's 12 or
okay,
better.
I'm gonna do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Wish I could do encouragement, but I'm doing enthrall, and I don't think you can do both at all.
Well, encouragement
It'd
is
feel like-
not an action. I think you can.
It's an
do it
enabler.
off.
Yeah.
It says it's
Enabler.
really.
So you
Yeah.
can do it.
I thought it was an action.
I think.
It's an enabler.
Yeah. Encouragement is an enabler, so you can do that right now if you want. But
Oh, then if I can't, I mean, I would love to. I mean, it's yeah.
I don't know if this is weird and probably wouldn't work, but I'm trained in all tasks involving sight. Can I help give his vision?
oh my
back?
God.
Because
That's
I
kinda
like
okay.
it's from my light power. Can I mitigate the effect of the light on him by using
You know what?
encouragement?
Yeah. So basically,
kinda
you're getting 2 assets, one each from Bina and Peach, as like
Your vision clears up a little bit.
Yeah, you're-
so you can see
Yeah.
around the light a little bit better
Yeah.
suddenly.
and Peach, you're
Mine is probably just like Mason. You got the shot. Like it's literally just like a
right. Yeah. So I mean,
combo.
Peach is also trained in light weapons, so so
yeah,
that.
and you can do it specifically on attack tasks.
Oh, cool. I did
Yeah.
not know that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So
Yeah,
that
it says attack task, defense task, or any task related to a skill that you are trained or
okay.
specialized.
Cool. So then that means that the
excited about
difficulty
this.
just dropped from a 6 down to what does that make that like a 2? I think.
I think so.
I think that's difficulty, right? Because you
Because
have
last I
you're training a level of effort,
'Cause it was
2
gonna be a
assets.
4,
Yeah,
so-
so it's down. The difficulty's 2 now. So go ahead, a 6 or better.
Okay.
Get it.
Oh, but
I
my
got a 7.
That's so great.
Okay, so
our encouragement.
with that, you hit him in the other kneecap, and he like goes down to both of his knees, just he like lands on his knees, and then as his other leg buckles under him, and then he just sort of like falls kind of backwards, pushes himself up on his arms and starts like using his arms to like push himself away from you, and he is not unconscious, but he looks like he's done. He's like pushing himself away, and as you're standing there, effectively ending combat at this point because there's nothing he can do right now, having been kneecapped twice. He pushes himself back and sits up, and looking at all of you, just he's like, "What are you?" As he just like sitting there, just kind of holding like his legs, like trying to keeping pressure on on where they've started to bleed now. He's just sort of staring up at all of you. The 2 of his compatriots who are still just sort of standing stock still, doing nothing at this point. So
We're just helpers. This is what Peach just says
Yeah.
to all of them. Like,
Yeah.
smile on her face.
you see as the Voxora starts kind of standing finally, just sort of, you can hear almost kind of like the whirring of servos as they start standing. As they
You need
do,
help?
you get a good look at them finally now as they're not like curled up, standing probably about 6 feet tall, with sort of spindly limbs, mostly humanoid in shape, except the head, where there would be a head, there is instead just like a large, sort of like an kind of an arm that ends in an ocular sensor, that as you watch as the ocular sensor just sort of like dips down sort of, and you can see as the iris in it starts focusing, sort of focusing in and out, as they say, "I did need help. Now I do not. Thank you."
Repairs. Do you need repairs?
They look down at themselves, and you can see as looking at their body, they just sort of look down.
Is that something I could do? Could I, as a mechanic,
You've never
with
done it.
physical bits?
You've never done it, but maybe.
Could Bean and I tag team? Like, I have a little bit of medical
We
training. She has
can't.
some
Right now, the
tech
two of us cannot do
training.
shit because we are enthralling these two.
Yeah.
These two
Oh,
thugs.
well, these people are gonna run away at this point, right? Like, can we drop the enthrall?
Vina has not.
You don't know? I mean, they
She's
look down at
just
themselves
talking
and
and
they
not
just
moving.
say, some of my form seems to have been damaged.
I might be able to help.
Uh,
But she's still like, like only looking at this Caldra woman, and is like kind of like mimicking her like slight sway, but still talking to this person. Are we
Olam,
good? Is this? Can I? I don't want this person to hurt anyone.
I turn Mason. Yeah, what? Oh,
I was asking if Olam, are you still on the ground? Because
I'm standing up, but I'm like,
okay, cool.
blood's
All right.
dripping off both my arms.
Well, we have to leave here really quick. So
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, let's.
we should get back to the ship. We can bring our we can bring you with us.
If they
We
want
can't
to.
stay here.
Ooh. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't even know what just happened.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't have my
I heard,
notifications
I
aren't
heard a good
updating.
sound,
Is that a
but
bits noise? I don't know what that one was.
My notifications aren't updating, so I don't know. But
Oh.
whatever it was,
It
thank
was
you.
a nice noise.
thanks, whatever the nice sound was.
Yeah.
It was the sound of the thug getting kneecapped.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Do we want to? Do we just want to like run for it?
I look at the two like ones that I knocked out already, and then I step back a little bit and point my two hands at the enthralled ones. I'm like,
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the enthrall.
I think we can let
This-
him go.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the enthrall at this point and just turn kind of to mine and the one that Bina is watching and just said, "I would run if I were you." And then just kind of look down at the unconscious folks on the ground.
Yeah.
And you know the leader kneecapped or the other one kneecapped.
Yep.
Yeah. The two of them just sort of like look around at kind of. Did you both release them?
I mean, I did. I don't know if Bina did.
Okay.
But I probably gave her a look as if like I got like.
Okay. Yeah, she'll drop it. If Peach is confident, Bina will drop it.
Yeah. The two of them just sort of like looking around.
Bina would like to start like skirting around to get to the Vaxora.
Yeah.
Like.
I'll train my gun at the two who are
Yeah,
just.
because I figured Olam
coming
had
to-
his hands up and then Mason
Yeah.
probably had his gun up, so
Yeah,
I
I'm
figured
pointing.
like
I've got finger guns at both of them.
and I just have pleasant words.
Yeah. As they
But
both.
what?
They're
what are
looking
they
around.
feeling?
They're looking around at the scene and then at each other. The Keldro woman glances over her shoulder at the kneecapped man, and he says, looks up to her. He says, "What are you waiting for? Fuck him up!" And she just looks at the other one and just says, "Sorry, boss." And they both just start. They take off the opposite direction down the alley.
That's what I thought.
Bye.
And she's just.
And then I'm gonna
He
go over.
rolls onto his side and looks after them, starts yelling. He's like, "Hey, come back here!" And he's just like, he looks over at you, and he's like, has this like furious look on his face as he turns back to you and just like sees Olam like lowering a hand towards him. He's just like, and he just sort of like, he leans his head back against the wall and just sits. The Voxora steps over some of the bodies of the unconscious thugs, much as they did to them a moment ago.
Can I see?
Perhaps your compatriot is correct. This may no longer be a secure location.
Okay. Do you want to come with us? You don't have to. I could maybe patch you up if you came with.
You can see as their head just sort of swivels around and says, "It seems that with you, I would be the safest that I have been so far on this station."
Yeah.
I do want to be clear. You're probably right about that, but the place we are going to be going isn't necessarily safe. There might be other dangers there. Just so we're clear.
Understood.
You can make a decision later. I could just patch you up when we get to the ship, at the least.
At this point, you can see Mason from where you're standing, glancing up the alley the way that you came. You can see that there's like people that are sort of gathering around the mouth of it and starting to like
get
look
out
in.
of here. Let's
We
get
go.
the hell out of here.
Let's go already.
All right, so you all make your way out of the alley. It's just kind of heading back towards the hangar bay. You make your way back towards the ship.
While we're walking, I want to ask our new companion their name.
Okay. They turn towards you and say, "I have a name known to my people, but it is unlikely you would be able to pronounce it as it is in our language. You may call me Patch."
Oh, that's cool.
God, that's so cool and cute.
Okay, yeah, we go. Very quickly.
Yeah, you make your way to the back to the Awakener, and as you do, almost as if on cue, as you are arriving, the ramp just starts lowering itself. And as you make your way over to it, start stepping up the ramp. You hear, as you step into the hold, you hear the sound of running footsteps coming from inside the ship. And as you look, you see Jade running around the corner and just sort of like skidding, like sliding into the hold. And he just goes, "Oh, it's you. Okay. Whew. Sorry." Says, the ramp just sort of opened and I thought we were being breached. And
Good response time. I looked at a not a watch. Good response time.
thanks.
We're
He
good.
goes,
Just
"Whoa."
us.
As he looks over your shoulder, as Patch just sort of takes a step inside, head just sort of on a swivel around, just taking in the interior of the ship.
I kind of like tap on the wall and I just go, "Thanks, Alma." And then I'm like, "Everybody can come in and we'll shut the door and not get any more attention from the outside." And then she'll kind of like shuffle everybody in.
Yeah. Jade is just sort of looking. Whoa. I mean, hi, or greetings, or
Patch, this is Jade. Jade, this is Patch.
Patch's head sort of like swivels forward, like leans forward and extends out, and you watch as the ocular sensor sort of focuses once again on Jade. Jade takes like an involuntary step back, and then leans forward, looking directly into the ocular sensor, as the two of them regard each other, and he goes,
Bina's gonna just kind of like go off and like grab one of her like kits, her like toolkits.
Yeah. At this exact moment, also, Abriel makes her way into the hold, carrying like a medical kit. As she steps in,
does Olam need treatment? Like, wasn't he just like slashed with a knife? Like,
yeah.
That was my immediate reaction upon entering. I was like, Olam, let's get you to the med bay.
Yeah, Abriel just sort of steps in. She says, she's already holding like a first aid kit as she looks you all over, and then
no faith in us.
She says, "Not true. If I had no faith in you, I wouldn't have brought this because I wouldn't have expected you back." And she just sets it down and just starts opening it up and starts. She says, she looks at you, Olam, and she says, "Sit."
Okay. So if I may, real quick, I put one power shift into healing. So
Oh yeah.
I'd like to roll that like having happened on the walk
Sure,
or whatever. Like right now, just hey, that's a lot. It refills going like might, speed, intellect in that order, right?
I think you
choose where it
distribute. Yeah,
goes.
you distribute.
Choose. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and it's the
That
D6
is
plus your
valuable.
tier. So
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that I have a little bit of a bonus from somewhere. I think it's from Naive, weirdly enough. From Fresh.
nice.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, exactly. So I sit down and pull my sleeves back.
It's like
And there's
bloody,
just, like-
but there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's blood all over my sleeves, but there's just these tiny little white crescent lines is like all that's there. And I'm like,
Yeah, there's just like the tail end of like scabbing, but like
Yeah,
weeks
exactly.
like weeks worth of scabbing basically. As she's looking at it, she goes, "What the hell?"
That's
uh,
I think I'm gonna take
Did a
that.
lot.
I think I'm gonna
Oh.
take that blood sample now, if you don't mind.
yeah, I guess while we're here, and I pulled my sleeve up further on one side.
Yeah, as she starts. Yeah, she like, like in the kit, just pulls out a syringe and just starts setting it all up, getting ready to like to take a sample.
I'll direct Patch to find a chair, or like if we go to if everyone moves into like the common room or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll ask if I can take a look again.
Patch looks at you and then just slowly nods.
Do I feel anything from them?
It's weird. It's you do, but it's muffled and muted. It's
a different
it's
like
very different
frequency than
Yeah.
like an organic. Yeah.
It's very different from what you're used to the point where like for probably one of the few times in Bina's life where she can't fully interpret what she's feeling, where like she can, it's weird. It's like it's sort of the same thing that most people have, looking at each other and reading people's emotions based on visuals.
Yeah.
It's just that Bina's doing it, being able to feel it, but isn't really fully able to parse it.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so Bina does hardware physical repairs. She couldn't help if any of like their data internal structure coding anything was messed up, but physical stuff theoretically she might be able to help out with.
Right. As you look them over, mostly the damage does appear to be primarily physical damage. It doesn't look like the thugs were able to get to any like critical systems.
Yeah.
So mostly what you're looking at is a few disconnected wires here and there. Maybe like some dented plating and at one point you can see where there's like a rent in the chassis of the Voxora, but mostly it looks.
She pulls out her toolkit and she'll do what she can to like put things back together.
Sure. Go ahead and make a roll. It'll be a pretty simple roll, but the difficulty on it is going to be 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mechanic. Can I use my sight, like try to discern what things are pulled apart? Any perception tests that involve sight?
I don't know if that's necessarily applicable here, but
Okay.
I will say that with Jade there, you can use Jade as an asset in this instance because Jade is like perfectly happy to drop any and all other things that he may have been working on to like get a closer look at Patch.
All right, let's 3 or better. Let's roll for it. 6.
Okay. It takes you maybe about half an hour or so as you're sort of going through reconnecting some wires, replacing a couple of
Components, pieces.
Yeah.
Parts.
And then at one point having to kind of pulling out like the hand welder and just sort of making sure that like just fixing some of the rents in the chassis, and you're sort of fixing all the while you are keenly aware of Patch just watching every move that you make. But you don't feel like it doesn't appear to be defensive or judgmental in any way.
Observing.
Just sort of observing everything that you're doing. As soon as you're done and you sort of step away with a newly welded piece on their chest.
Yeah, she'll say, "How's that feel? You got full mobility with the
Patch stands and starts moving, just sort of moving arms, just sort of testing.
She'll like do a couple of like, okay, follow my.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're good. Okay. Does it feel okay?
All systems appear nominal. Patch swivels and looks around and says, thank you.
Of course.
I am not certain I got most of your names.
Bina Oba, and she'll hold out one of her arms to.
Their arm reaches out and just returns the shake. and just sort of glances around the room slowly, like the ocular sensor slowly rotating towards the others.
I'm like
Pete.
like. Oh, no, go on. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was gonna Peach, and I'm gonna kind of walk over and offer my hand. As I don't know if we're handshaking, but I would offer my hand.
Yes. The true fantasy of tabletop RPGs these days. Hand,
You physically touch other people.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh. Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking that. I just didn't know if that was like custom in this time, but Peach would do it.
Sure.
It's the nice thing to do.
I'm just looking down at the little band-aid for my blood draw or whatever, and I just like, oh, I am Olam Ferber. Hi.
Mason Frey.
And you watch as the ocular sensor slowly sweeps towards Abriel, who's like packing up her kit at this point. She looks up and she goes, "What?" Says, "I'm Abriel," and she just turns and starts walking away. And Patch just nods and says, "It is fortuitous to have met all of you. Thank you for your intervention. I am not quite certain I would have made it out of that myself."
Sure wasn't a fair fight. Did they just grab you for no reason?
They insisted that I leave their establishment, and when I did not, I told them I was seeking information. They became confrontative, which escalated into violence.
Establishment?
Yes, I believe it was a pub.
What kind of information did you go in seeking? Were you asking the wrong questions to them?
I was simply looking for a machinist.
Oh.
For anything in particular?
Yes.
Or a particular machinist? Or
No.
for a particular job?
You watch as the ocular sensor just sort of focuses and refocuses and then turns elsewhere. You get no response to those questions.
That's okay.
She just like Bina just likes to help and likes to do work with machines.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh. Does she have any? So Bina at this point has kind of an understanding that the people around her can feel her emotions. Has she gotten any sense that they can feel her? I think she would have maybe had like a peek at like needs someone who works with machines, and she would have been like, oh, and there that might have been a thing that they could have felt.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
You can still feel that, like with most people, ever since you woke up from cryosleep, you've been able to feel sort of the ebb and flow of like emotions, basically, like to and from you. You've sort of been able to start kind of feeling those a little bit. That there's no longer just sort of this, it's no longer just purely input. You can sort of start to feel like there's maybe a little bit more there. You can still feel that here, although what effect it's having on the other end, you're not sure. But
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
Patch turns and says, "You were preparing to leave the station?"
Yeah. We have a small job. We have to do. What was it? About a day out from the station. It's on the edge, outside of the system.
I see. Would you allow a request?
Depends what it is, but we'll hear you out.
I arrived on a chartered vessel from a far system. That vessel has since departed. Based on my experience with those individuals at the pub, I am somewhat trepidatious about attempting to charter new passage.
Oh. But where do
unknowns.
you need to go?
I have many places that I must visit. For now, if it is acceptable to you, perhaps some of those places coincide with places you need to visit as well.
Maybe. Perhaps we could barter in exchange. Do you have access to credits or any type of monetary? Not to pay us. We just need medical supplies. And we don't have any way to obtain it.
Such things are granted by my people to our outriders. However, I am not among their ranks.
That's okay. I guess in exchange for never telling anyone you saw us, we could probably take you somewhere.
Do you have a specific place in mind, Patch? It sounds like you were going lots of places.
Perhaps.
Can I get a read on that at all? What is that? Can I get a read on that at all? I know they're not they're not like a species that I would have really known, but I have to, like, that has to mean something.
You can attempt go ahead and make an intellect roll.
Okay.
The difficulty is going to be 4 on that one.
Okay, pleasant social interactions.
I'd count it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, I mean, we're about to rest after this, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna use a point of effort.
All right. So now it's a difficulty 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just do that. Because if I do any more, I'm almost at. No, I'll do 2. We're about to rest. I'll do 2 levels of effort. I want to know what the hell this guy's talking about.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Man, if we have to run into combat right now, I will die.
I was gonna say, stop! Don't jinx it. Something's gonna happen.
Lucas is like, I hadn't planned anything, but now.
You can always take an action to a recovery roll.
Yeah, I'll just. I can always do that. Okay. So, I'm not going to use this die. I'm going to use the one that I was rolling well with earlier. Okay. An 8.
Okay. So here's what you're getting. The vagueness of the answers, it's being in. Okay, let's start with this. Being in politics, Peach would know a little bit about the Voxora and their general disposition and the disposition that other beings have towards them. Generally speaking, Voxora like to keep to themselves as a result of the rampant mistrust with which other organics approach any sort of interaction with synthetic beings. Likewise, the Voxora, for that exact reason, have exactly 0 trust for organic beings. They tend to keep to themselves most of the time, are only rarely seen around. Like, not as rarely, I would say, as, because this is a conversation that came up earlier today in Writer's Room, not as rarely as it would be to, like, for somebody to have seen one of the caretakers on the conduits. But like, it's the kind of thing that if you live in well-populated areas, you would probably see like maybe one or two a year.
Do they have their own like planets, or like do they have
unknown? Nobody actually knows where they are from or where they operate from. They are
so they're kind of like mysterious folks.
Yeah, which doesn't really help their image, but is probably safer on the whole for them. That now. What you're
They have their own culture and society,
yes,
but we don't know a ton about it.
That much is pretty clear, but yeah.
Okay.
Now, what that says to you is that you're probably sensing a couple of things from this individual's demeanor. One part of it, a big part of it, might just be that mistrust that they have sort of ingrained for organics. Not wanting to reveal too much information to people that they just met, especially organics.
Of course.
But there is something about it's different reading a synthetic being than it is reading an organic one, because with organic beings you have generally the ability to sense temperature changes, sense their body temperature changes. Not so with a synthetic being, or rather you do, but it's not necessarily tied to emotion. But even so, you detect that there's something more to this request that they are not saying.
Okay.
Tina's just excited to make friends. She's
Patch,
like, I can't feel this one very good, but like, hey.
Patch turns and says, I have a number of destinations, and my business there is not time sensitive. Perhaps if we are close to any of my destinations, I will let you know. And if not, if we do not come within proximity of any of them, then perhaps I will take my leave. For now, I am content to explore.
What does Mason think about? I'm like looking at Mason, the hardest ass by some of my reckonings. What do you?
I don't know. I just realized it's a thing. I just realized a thing that Mason has that might help, or could have helped maybe. Guarded has a thing. I've been trying to look for my book this whole time.
Ah, yes.
From my little perch here, but
For your constant 3-hour squat that you're doing.
Right, exactly.
All right.
I think at this point Peach would probably turn to Patch and just say, we'll kind of watch out for each other, and you're on our ship now, so we'll watch out for you while you're here. Just if you need anything, don't mess with the ship, just ask Bina.
That is acceptable and appreciated.
You should know, though, before, committing to this whole thing, that we don't know a lot about each other. And also, we have some tasks that might not be exceedingly safe. And I don't want you to be putting yourself in danger, more than you, I guess, would expect to be in any given situation. But we are actively pursuing things that might be dangerous. So you should know that ahead of time.
My people, some of them, travel the galaxy. They have been known to do so. They are experienced. I, however, am not. This is my first excursion away from my people. Danger is a part of everything that I do outside of their protection.
Well, then this was probably as good a place for you as any.
A lot of us are in newly dangerous situations as well.
Yes. I recognized you all immediately.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Well, better than you than somebody else.
Peach also laughs aloud, at that, very deeply.
They stand and start looking around and say, what space may I occupy on this vessel?
For just to hang out, to rest, we have multiple spaces. You can utilize whatever you'd like in the ship. Is there a space you'd be more comfortable? I mean, we've got beds. There's the couch over there. There's some other small spaces that are more secluded if you'd prefer to be alone.
you watch as their heads are sort of swivels around, taking in everything, lingering on the areas of egress from the hold. And they just say, they turn back and say, "If it is acceptable to you, I will take some time and explore."
Okay, so with my reads on them, I can't discern anything. Like I can tell that there is emotion there, but I can't discern it.
Pretty much.
Is that what
yeah.
it is? Okay, cool.
Yeah. You can feel that emotion. You can only make guesses at it, basically. Like
it's articulated and it's like another language. It's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I can tell someone's speaking to me, but if they're not speaking a language I understand, then I can't.
Right.
I don't know what they're saying. I
Yeah.
just can tell that they're speaking. So I can tell that it's feeling. I just don't know. Yeah, what they're feeling.
Yep. They turn and say, "Very well. Then I begin my exploration." And they just turn and just start wandering the ship. First, it's just sort of
I'm gonna say, "Hey, Alma, keep an eye on them." Just whisper out loud too.
you see just sort of like the barest flicker in one of the consoles as it just sort of like blinks once or twice, and you can feel like you were heard.
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Got it.
The Patch just starts wandering around, mostly looking around the hold at first, picking up random stuff and just sort of looking at it and just setting it back down in place and just sort of wandering.
Bina knows that it's not fun to be observed while you're, doing your own thing, so she's going to kind of like catch herself watching for a second and be like, okay, and she's gonna turn on her heel and she's gonna go back up to the bridge to try to figure out where this place that we're going is.
Okay. Sounds good. As you're making your way out back towards the cockpit, Jade falls into step beside you. He goes, "Well, that's pretty interesting."
Yeah. We'll see how this goes. I mean, not the most bizarre thing that has happened to us in the past 2 weeks.
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I finished that project that I was working on.
What'd you do? Show me.
Says, "Okay." So as you the two of you make your way into the cockpit, he sits in and he says, "Okay, watch." And he just starts like flicking a few switches and then types into the console, and you see as suddenly like simultaneously all the ship's systems and engine just immediately kick on. He goes, "I rigged up a fast launch protocol just in case."
All at once?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it too often.
No.
And we definitely want to run maintenance checks every single time we do it. But for now, it's not the cleanest job, but it'll do it. If we really need to get away in an emergency, we don't have to worry about pre-flight checks or any of that. And he points over towards where you normally get like warning lights whenever.
Yeah. Yay, that is impressive as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of rigged in some of the commands, and honestly, she did most of the work. But I just sort of asked about if it was possible, and I moved a few connectors around because she showed me some diagrams, and yeah.
Hey, it was your idea. It wouldn't have happened if you hadn't had the idea in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen that I've heard of some stuff like that, so I wanted to make sure. So I asked to make sure. And anyway, this will help us get a fast getaway if we really need to without worrying about any pre-flight checks.
It's kind of been, the norm at this point.
Yeah.
Well, good job to both of you.
Yeah, thanks.
This is definitely going to come in handy. And she's going to high five him and Phil.
In the meantime, those of you down who are still in the hold as Bina and Jade depart, you spend some time just sort of kind of watching Patch just sort of explore the hold, and then gradually, almost like hesitantly, start making their way out to other sections, like down the hallway that lead, like the hallways that lead to other areas of the ship. And as you're watching them, it's really unclear. But if you didn't know any better, you would almost say that the way that they are proceeding about their investigation of the ship, strikes you almost like awkwardness. Like when you first enter into somebody's home and they say make yourself at home and you don't really know what to do with yourself is kind of the same thing that it's kind of that same feeling that you're getting watching this synthetic being just sort of wander around your ship. All in all, it's a pretty bizarre experience seeing a very, very like organic-like behavior displayed by a synthetic being. It's very weird. It's kind of fully uncanny valley kind of thing happening. But as you're watching and you see them sort of wandering through the ship, you can feel as the ship's engines come on, the familiar hum underneath, as you can feel that sort of slight jolt as the ship begins to lift. As the ship departs the docking bay, making a launch towards your next task. And that's where we're going to pick up next week.
Guys, is anyone gonna tell Patches that we're not terrorists, or we just okay? I was just wondering. But they didn't seem pressed, which is why I was like,
They didn't have any immediate questions. Bina was trying to be very forthcoming with them, and they didn't have any aversions or immediate questions. So I will let them think what they would like to until they decide they would like to know more.
Good to me.
Just good night to Xaiyah.
Yeah, sorry.
Like a new viewer.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Sorry you only caught the tail end, and I'm glad you're here.
You just missed an hour of us awkwardly standing in a gun shop, so it's fine.
All right. Well, that's where we're gonna end for the evening. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out, for watching. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and home.
Stay home if you are
Absolutely.
able.
Yes.
Yep.
Wash your hands.
Social distancing. Take care of yourselves.
We already did that.
Yeah, we did.
So.
But yeah,
Okay.
so this Friday,
Yes.
Ramblemancy, our talk show where we talk about sundry nerdy topics. In like this Friday, we're actually doing a special episode where we're gonna have the whole cast and writers room, where you can ask questions, you can make comments, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can listen to our hot takes on ours and each other's characters and the world, and
A whole show about this show.
a whole show about it. It's
Whole
super meta.
episode.
It's gonna be real meta. So
It's gonna be extremely fun.
yeah.
And we can dump all of our theories directly into your Twitch stream.
Oh, man,
and it's gonna be
it's
very
been-
and you can
It's gonna
give
be
yours
so
to
fun.
us. We can hear your theories.
It's been
Oh man.
so long since I've been able to exercise my GM poker face, and I'm very excited to do it again.
I
gosh.
feel like you have a really good GM poker face, and I will learn nothing. So I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I've never been. Cannot read him, and I've never been able. Like, it's never gonna happen. But if you can't make that stream and you want to like
Yes.
participate in the conversation, you can send prompts or questions to us on our Twitter as a DM, which is, I think our Twitter is one of our panels.
Yeah.
Scroll down. Is it?
It
Let me
is.
check. Yeah,
It
it
is.
is.
Same
Or-
handle as it is here.
Yeah, at Rule of Lore, or send them to this email address that I just threw into chat. I'll say it out loud: ruleoflore@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing again.
Questions for the cast, questions for the
pattern.
characters, questions for the GM and writers room that they may or may not be able to answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if you want to make it and you have something that you want to remember to talk about, you can send that to us.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll still be interacting with chat, but if you're gonna miss it or if
Absolutely.
you've thought of something you don't want to forget it, like DM and
Yep.
email are
So
There are many methods for your convenience.
yeah. So definitely, if you're interested, join us for that on Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, right here. So so we'll be looking forward to seeing you there, and we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much for being here.
Good night. Thanks for
Good night.
watching.